Well, hello everybody and welcome to New Road, Worcester for Central Sparks versus Western Storm in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. 20 overs aside, and this is the final game of the group stage for these two sides. Central Sparks in with a great chance of qualifying top of the table. If they win here today, they're through to finals day. If Northern Diamonds fail to win against Southern Vipers today, then they will also be through to finals day. Southeast Stars play their match tomorrow. They could still top the group with a bonus point, and if Central Sparks fail to get a bonus point. However, it's looking like both these sides will go through. It's looking, obviously, because we know Southern Vipers have made it to the final outright on finals day, Sarah Ginn, that it's not essentially going to matter, although there's a little pride between those two teams about who's going to be top of that table. My name's Mike Perkins, as I say, I'm alongside Sarah Ginn, and that's what it'll come down to in many ways, a little bit of pride between these two sides about who finishes top.
I think finishing top of the group and taking that sort of glory away from it, as you said, although it won't be an outright one straight through to the final, it'll definitely give them the upper hand going into that playoff game next weekend.
Now Sparks have won the toss and they have chosen to bat, as you will see by Eve Jones and Izzy Wong striding out to the middle. The rest of their batting order is Amy Jones, Abby Freeborn, Emily Arlott, Amy Campbell, Gwennon Davis, Sarah Glenn, Liz Russell, Hannah Baker and Grace Potts. So one change, Davina Perrin dropping out of the side. No changes for the Western Storm. They go with the same team from their last match. They're third in the table with 9 points but can't qualify for the finals day. They go with Georgia Hennessy, Fee Morris, Sophie Luff, Fran Wilson, Danielle Gibson, Nat Wraith, Katie George, Alex Griffiths, Neve Holland, Sophia Smale and Claire Nicholas. Now, looking at those lineups, and in particular looking at the choice from the Central Sparks, what do you make of that decision to win the toss and bat?
I think it's a very positive decision. I think they've proven in these games that if they get off to a good start, especially with Isabel Wong here, then it really sets the tone for the rest of the game. I think they'll be hoping for very similar today.
Well, we will have the first over then from this New Road end, and it will be bowled by Claire Nicholas, who you were anticipating might be opening the bowling. Yeah,
I think she's a very experienced player. I suppose the older stateswoman of this team, if you like. Sort of off spin, steady, keeps it really level, and it'll be something that perhaps Izzy Wong isn't used to first up here.
So here is Wong to face the first ball. Quite looking forward to seeing Wong opening the batting, and she puts bat to ball straight away into the offside, and a single will be taken. And it moves to one without loss. The Central Sparks getting underway there. And as I say, I'm quite looking forward to seeing what Izzy Wong's got at the top of the order. You've seen her a fair bit in this competition, though.
And the single wasn't what we were expecting maybe there from her, but quite measured from her early doors there.
Here's Eve Jones, left-handed, and waits for a full toss that she smashes up to Georgia Hennessy, but doesn't get a run for it. The throw neat and returned into Nat Wraith, with 10 dismissals over the 2 seasons of the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Nicholas will come in again, and this one is again hit into the offside, but Hennessy there to do the fielding. A dive from the captain, Luff, but wasn't needed in the end because there was never really going to be a run, although perhaps put them off slightly. So Nicholas walks back to her mark, spins it from right hand to left, back into the right, and delivers around the wicket, and there was perhaps a chance there as the left hand went out. Do we feel there was fingertips on that, Sarah?
Yeah, sharp chance, but I think she'll be disappointed there. She didn't quite make it back, didn't anticipate that coming straight back perhaps this early in the game, but I think she'll be disappointed she didn't get more on that.
Nicholas again to bowl over the wicket this time from the New Road end. There's an attempt at a flick by Wong. Eve Jones wants the single. Wong's going to have to hurry up. Does hurry up. Just hurries up in time to get through for that single. It moves on to 3 without loss, the score in the first over. How crucial, though, will that be that Eve Jones dropped without scoring?
Yeah, and a little bit confusion there as well. The Sparks seem to need to steady the ship a little bit here from this start.
Eve Jones, 152 runs now with that single in the competition so far, and she makes that 153 with another single down to long on as the ball is returned to Nat Wraith and the first over is completed. 4 without loss the score here. You're with Mike Perkins and Sarah Ginn at New Road, which is looking resplendent, albeit under cloudier than usual skies.
Yeah, I think we're quite lucky actually. There's a lot of rain around today, but we had a little bit of drizzle when we first got here, but it seems to have stayed dry so far for us to get going. Of course, Central Sparks would go through automatically if it was rained off and no result today, but they'll be hoping to still win this and, as I say, go through convincingly.
Yes, of course, in my equations I gave at the start, the no result, which could happen, and we don't think it will happen, but it could happen, was one I'd not factored in. One other game ongoing at the moment, and if Diamonds don't win that, then all results essentially become immaterial in the sense that it will be the 2 sides from this group who go through to finals day. Southern Vipers already qualified for the final with their 100% record in the Charlotte Edwards Cup this season. Sarah again.
So Danny Gibson coming in from the Douglas end to the left-handed Eve Jones. Nice full delivery there, just tucked away off her hip for a quick single. The ball comes flying back to the keeper. It's a steady start, you'd say, by the Sparks here. Not as explosive as we're used to, but steady nonetheless.
Well, with the overcast conditions, it feels like a day where bowlers would be on top, and the batting's almost started like that, as if they're sort of a little more in for the long haul than they would be. But it doesn't take Izzy Wong long to get going, we know that.
No, and she'd be experienced facing some of these girls in the county championships this summer, and of course the other game that was at Sophia Gardens earlier, as Gibson into Wong puts her hands through that, but only as far as the cover fielder Katie George. And this course is the second time they've played one home and away in this competition, so these girls would know each other very well at this point in the competition.
Certainly will, and it'll be intriguing to see if they can get going in this power play, as we say, under these cloudy skies.
It's Gibson to Wong, blocks on the back foot, just into the cover fielder again. It's quite watchful from Izzy Wong here, so she's not giving chances, which is a good thing. I think early on in some of the other games she has tended to put the ball in the air, just trying to get off the mark, but she's just keeping her patience here, and I'm sure we'll see something along the lines of what we're more used to shortly.
It's very sensible and watchful. I don't know if that mid-pitch chat was get on with it from Eve Jones.
So Gibson over the wicket to Wong. There she goes. Is it clear? It has cleared. No, it's not going to clear mid-off, and she's caught at mid-on, sorry. Not sure who that is out there at mid-on. Hard to see from our end. Yeah,
it was a chance, but a high one in the end. It looked as if it was going to clear the fielder, but unfortunately, in the end it didn't, and Izzy Wong has to depart. So if the message was get on with it, she certainly tried there, but without any great success, and that means we have Amy Jones wandering to the wicket, looking to try and add to that very impressive total of 182 runs in the competition with the bat, the highest scorer of anyone.
Yeah, and this experiment with Isabel Wong, I think the Sparks are right to continue with it. It is coming off, I think, more times than not, but just every now and again she doesn't quite get hold of one, as seen today, and she's unfortunately caught out. So it brings the really experience of Amy Jones to the crease. So it's been great to see her in action during this competition. And she's, as I say, one of the highest run scorer, and just having the experience of her and Sarah Glenn has been a real asset to the Sparks so far.
So there we go, confirmation. Neve Holland with the catch there up at mid-on. And Amy Jones is assessing her field and assessing her options, but first real moment there going in favour of Western Storm.
As Gibson into the right-handed Amy Jones, just playing that watchfully into the leg side for no run. Of course, we've got Smale down here at third man, and we've got a square leg on the boundary, just 2 outside the ring in this early power play for the first 6 overs. As Gibson strides back to her mark, confidence will be up, you think, from the Western Storm at the moment. It's Gibson into Amy Jones. Strong runner over the wicket, nice and full. It's only as far as the cover fielder again for no run. And that's the over, and Central Sparks are 5 for 1 off 2.
Yeah, driven nicely and sweetly as you'd expect from Amy Jones, but just wasn't quite able to find a way past Alex Griffiths in the offside there. And 5 for 1 represents a start that the Storm will be happiest with. We were saying no huge pressure on the Sparks. You wouldn't think. You think they'll get there one way or the other, but there's certainly no pressure on Western Storm, and they're playing like the freer side in those opening overs, it felt.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like they're enjoying themselves out there at the moment, and so it's pride to play for today. But also there is another competition coming up in the Rachel Hayhoe, so there's still competition for places, and people getting these wickets today would really help.
Nicholas again begins her second over from the New Road end, and Jones is immediately through for a single, takes the score on to 6 for 1. A direct hit from Hennessy, but it doesn't achieve the desired effect of a run out. Spectacular looking nonetheless as George makes her way back to the mid-wicket boundary. There's also a fielder on the 45, a fielder at backward square leg on the edge of the ring, and also a mid-wicket. And then a long on as well, as in comes Nicholas again, floats it up. It's a full toss that Jones, I think, would have quite liked to have put away for more than just a single, but Gibson came in and did the fielding.
There have been a couple of full tosses so far that you'd think on another day Central Sparks might have got hold of them, but so it's a little bit more watchful today, and at least they're putting them safely on the ground.
Here's Jones with a powerful drive. That's her shot through cover, but she only finds the palms of Luff at short extra cover. And in comes Nicholas again, throws it up. Jones drives down the ground. One taken to long on. The batters had switched, so Gibson had switched her position at long on, or switched her sides anyway of the pitch physically on the field, but she was still at a long on position. On the offside, they're all up for Amy Jones. We've got mid-off, extra cover, a cover point and a backward point, and Jones is driving towards the cover and past the cover, and there will be a chase on. Hennessy makes up the ground from mid-off.
It's uncharacteristic, you'd have to say, from Fran Wilson there, letting the ball through. Known for her excellent fielding. We've seen a lot of that repeat of that catch she took for England. I think she was at point at that point of the game, but not known for that sort of fielding.
Certainly not. I was about to say exactly the same thing. I was surprised to see the number of Nat Wilson there, because it was so uncharacteristic, as you say. 2 were taken, but none off that dabbed shot into the onside. Jones looks ruefully more towards backward square with the rehearsed effort, and it's 10 for 1 at the end of the third over. So still Storm in the more dominant position, you feel, in this game. They'll be happy with 3 overs for 10. They'll expect themselves to match that in the second innings of this game, but 3 overs of the power play now. 2 batters at the crease. One of them, Jones, has been, or Eve Jones we should say, because we have Amy and Eve at the crease, both with surnames Jones.
Yeah, as the sun comes out over the ground, I don't think we were expecting that about half an hour ago.
No, and it's very nice indeed to have it with us. But yeah, Eve Jones has been there from the start, so she should be able to accelerate in this over, you would imagine.
Gibson still coming over the wicket to the left-handed Eve Jones here. It's a bit short, it's gone through to the boundary, through. It's an excellent shot, whipped off her leg through the leg side quite powerfully, and she's not known to playing it there as much as Morley going through the offside, but it was an excellent shot nonetheless.
Well, you can see what was being attempted there, an effort to spear the ball in towards the toes, but Eve Jones was quite happy just to pick that one up, and Danny Gibson's under pressure. Her first ball has disappeared for 4.
It's Gibson powerfully into Jones, and that's will be a wide down the leg side. Jones rehearsing that shot again off her legs with the fielder down here on the fine leg boundary to stop that happening. Sophia Smale, who's done very well so far in this competition, new to the side this year at Western Storm, and has picked up some vital wickets.
You'd almost prefer the wide in that situation. So 5 off the first ball effectively now as Gibson comes in again.
So still a bit full there from Gibson, but I think she gets away with it there as it goes straight to the mid-off fielder there for no run.
Well, Brave sticking to the ploy, because I think that's what she'd been going for those first 3 deliveries and had not quite managed to execute it.
No, I think they know how strong Eve Jones is just outside off stump, and so really trying to tuck it up here, but there is that small margin for error when you do so. As Gibson into Jones, so it's gone over the top. There it is, that's that shot that she likes through the cover fielder for 4 runs. Excellent shot. That's her bread and butter there, you would say, wouldn't you?
Yes, yeah, and having attempted to spear it into the toes for 3 deliveries, been hit for 4, bowled a wide and got 1 right. It was very strange that the width was then offered, and we were saying Sparks needed to increase the run rate in this over, and they've certainly done that, and there's huge pressure on Gibson here to find a way out of this over. Only a couple of balls into it, or well,
Gibson
halfway through.
Into Jones, and again that's quite full, but I think she's got away with that one. So it goes to Georgia Hennessy and back into Nat Wraith over the stumps. So
it was another hit me delivery though, wasn't it? Right into the arc of Jones.
You can see Jones rehearsing it again there. So interesting to see how many of her runs this season have been scored through that arc there, but she's definitely found her niche. As Gibson into Jones. It's right on her toes there, and that was a little bit fuller but tricky to play. They're looking for an overthrow. No, they settle for staying where they are and just the dot ball.
A difficult ball to bowl that, but I think a better option there to attempt to get that ball speared in.
Yeah, and I think it's great to see that both of these teams seem to have done their homework on the opposition. I know they've played them a lot of times, but get Danny Gibson really thinking here where she needs to bowl to Eve Jones. She comes in, Jones steps back through, just slightly to the onside there for no run. It's a good recovery at the end of the over, you'd say, from Danny Gibson after those initial 4s and that wide at the start.
Yeah, she did well to get out of it, didn't she, from where she found herself, but 19 for 1, definitely accelerating the scoring there were the Sparks, and definitely putting themselves in a better position in that over, but just the 9 from it, and having got them from the first couple of balls of that over, they'd perhaps be disappointed not to have gone on further. Now Nicholas is going to continue, rare for a spinner at any point in an innings, particularly the start of it, to bowl 3 overs on the trot, but that's what Western Storm are going with here, and Nicholas is attempting to find a way through. A reminder, Sparks need to win this game to guarantee their position on finals day. It will be their first final in the regional competitions. I'm delighted to have 623 of you with us already on the live stream as a single is taken by Amy Jones on this occasion. We'll have to keep reminding you that the switches between Amy and Eve, but that one bringing the run takes it on to 20 for 1.
At least there's not a Jones bowling as well that was happening the other week. All 3 of the competitors were surnamed Jones.
Here comes Nicholas again, around the wicket, driven back down the pitch. And regaining her ground is Amy Jones to ensure she couldn't be run out by Nicholas after the ball was struck off the bat of Eve Jones, who's now on strike, facing the bowling from the New Road end. Down the track again, but again can't find a way through, and again looks frustrated. And is it perhaps frustrating from a Sparks point of view that the Eve Jones strike rate hasn't risen much above 100? Plenty of runs again in this competition, 151 of them going into this match. She picks up another 2 long on, 21 for 1, but that strike rate with Jones, she just seems to struggle to get it much past that one a ball.
Yeah, I think she's got those strong shots, hasn't it? She hits for 4, but there has been, as we've seen so far, quite a few dot balls in between there that perhaps she needs to find a way of capitalising on.
One person who doesn't struggle with her strike rate is Amy Jones, and she's clipped that one on the sweep over the fielder at square leg for 4. 25 for 1, the total moves on to a lovely stroke by Amy Jones, and she is one who certainly won't be tied down, and by comparison going into this game her strike rate was up at 143.3, a highest score of 80, 182 runs, 6 sixes as well in the competition. Just shows what a talented player she is, even if her winter perhaps wasn't what she would have liked.
Well, yeah, she's definitely using this competition as good preparation for things that are coming this summer.
Driven nicely down the onside of straight up towards Gibson in front of the cafe here. Does the fielding. 26 for 1 the total moves on to. And that's the end of another Nicholas over. Whizzes by. 5 gone.
Yeah, it definitely goes quicker when you've got the spinners on early on here. And but I think, as mentioned, Sophia Smale before, having another spinner in the side maybe gives Storm the option to let Nicholas have these overs early on with someone else to bowl maybe later on. Give them the options.
As I say, unusual to see a spinner bowl 3 straight, but that's.
Although I'm saying that Smale is coming on now, so she's coming on earlier than expected. But a good competitor, a good youngster, seems to have been around on the sort of cricket circuit for some time, even though she's only, I believe, 17 or 18 at the moment. She's gone up through the Welsh age group system, and she's just starting to prove her worth for the Storm this season. Went on their early season tour to Desert Springs, I think had a good spells out there, and now they've selected her for the main competition games, which is great to see.
Voice of Sarah again alongside myself, Mike Perkins, on the Central Sparks YouTube channel. Great to have nearly 800 of you watching.
Smale to right-handed Amy Jones, just rocks back, sends that into the covers to Fran Wilson, who makes no mistake this time, and that's no run.
More Fran Wilson-like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And do make sure you hit the little like button if you're enjoying what you're hearing, because it helps other people find the
Smale to Amy Jones, who uses her feet, sent that through the covers. Is it going to go for 4? It is. It's a great shot by Amy Jones. Real purpose in that as she came down the wicket as soon as the ball really left the bowler's hand.
Certainly was. Found the gap, knew where it was, knew the angle she needed, and connected with the ball perfectly, really. Sent it away for 4.
It's a new test altogether for a youngster coming into the game, isn't it, when you've got an England player of such a calibre at the other end as well. Smale, left arm into Amy Jones, who just nips that into the leg side, and they'll take an easy single.
Nips it was a very good description there, actually.
Yeah.
I like that, because she did. She just sort of... It just looked as if she was going to have to just sneak it past the fielder, and she did so for a single. But good batting, backing the boundary up with a scoring shot. Good to see the man with the blue brolly at the far end, at the Diglas end, has put it to one side for now.
Yes,
the sun has left us.
So we've got a long on and a mid-wicket to Eve Jones here. A Smale comes round the wicket. Dot ball that goes to Eve Jones and just through to Georgia Hennessy. Just trying to work it out there whether it's round the wicket or over the wicket. She's a left-hander. It's got the wrong way round. She's changed direction anyway of where she's bowling to Eve Jones. The left arm was taking a big swipe at that with no sort of result, and luckily didn't come to anything else other than just going straight through to the keeper's hands.
Yeah, I don't know if it's our angle or her run, but she does have a sort of quite peculiar action that makes you think she's going to bowl right arm, but it's definitely left arm over.
Eve Jones is sending that to the boundaries. The fielder going to make it round. Oh, and it's dropped. So they're taking a couple of runs there. It's an unfortunate drop out there. I think that's Katie George who's dropped that at the mid-wicket boundary. She made a lot of ground, got there, did all the hard work, and then unfortunately it didn't stay in the hands.
The wind, which you're probably hearing at New Road, we're quite high up today, actually. We sort of almost feel as if we should give the royal wave from this distance, I think. But it was sort of bringing the ball agonisingly towards Katie George, who I think at first maybe thought she wasn't going to get there, and she did get there and almost had several goes at it as it popped out her hand and onto the green turf in front of her. It was, as you say, it was a fantastic effort to make the ground, but having got there, she might be a little disappointed not to cling on. But as I say, she had to factor in that sort of curve towards her as well.
So they're never easy when they come up in the air like that. It was hit quite cleanly, so it probably was coming straight at her, and also sort of good positioning with the fielding, but unfortunately she didn't stay hold of that in the end.
And the little royal wave you may have seen from our umpire there is to signal the end of the power play. 34 for 1 is the score from Sparks, so just under 1 a ball. That's been certainly in the group I've watched more of, which has been the other group from this Group A, has been the fact that power plays have been used a little bit more than they were in the previous edition of the Charlotte Edwards Cup, or even in some cases in the KSL days, as Jones tried to force that one into the onside, couldn't produce a run.
I think especially in T20 it's a great time to bat, isn't it? I think getting the mentality that actually I want to be out there when there's only two outside the ring is a good position to be in.
Yeah, the likes of your Marie Kellys, your Emma Lambs have been putting bat to ball in the other group and certainly using the power play to get it above one a ball. Izzy Wong, I think, has been doing it for the Sparks as well. No run on offer on that occasion, as that one was forced away again by Eve Jones, but only finding her, or the other captain in the game, Sophie Luff. And that run-up is aborted there from the New Road end. Change of bowling this over, brought on perhaps by the fact that we'd reached the end of the power play and Nicholas had done her job, and the latest ball is short and hit up towards mid-off. A single is on offer on this occasion, and Eve and Amy swap ends to bring Amy onto strike. So Alex Griffiths continuing this over.
And Danny Gibson was at Gloucestershire playing their county cricket and moved over to Wales of late. So all four of these bowlers early on from the Welsh contingent. So Griffiths and Smale particularly would have grown up playing age group cricket together. So it's great to see the progression from there up to the one of the biggest stages now.
We've seen Seren Smale pop up in this competition last year as well, or certainly in regional cricket. So Wales well represented in this competition, as in comes Griffiths again, and that one is a frustrating outside edge. A little twirl of the bat on the drive by Jones, and it brings her four. Had there been a first slip, there would have been a chance, but such is the way of 2020 cricket. It's rare to see that first slip, and the ball has disappeared for four more to the total. 39 for one. A useful boundary, that.
Yeah, useful. I mean, slightly unlucky from the bowler's point of view that managed to get through, but say just out of the power play, but they're still looking to put at least probably 5-6 and over on the board at very least at this stage of the game.
So no fielder at third. There's one back at point. There's two back on the leg side, as well as the long on, just hiding by the rope in front of us, but it was the fielder in the ring who does the work on this occasion, and that is Sophie Luff, the captain. Prevents a run being scored. Jones assesses her options once more as the trees are ruffled by the breeze in the distance over towards the river here at Worcester, and it's pushed back down the ground. Another single taken as we move up towards the 1,000 viewers mark on this live stream. Do hit the like button because it helps others discover it, just as you have here. Myself, Mike Perkins, with Sarah Ginn at New Road, Worcester. 40 for one the score at the end of the 7th over, with that final single added there.
Must be getting warmer. Amy Jones is taking her jumper off in the middle now, so it's gone from being quite overcast conditions to quite muggy, you would say, but at least we're getting these games in today. Tomorrow's forecast doesn't look as promising for cricket, unfortunately.
Certainly doesn't, and that might have South East Stars slightly worried, although, as you say, no result is good enough for certainly Sparks, and I think I'm right in saying it would just, well, it would make it interesting if Northern Diamonds could get a bonus point or beat Vipers by, it would have to be a fairly significant run rate, and obviously they wouldn't pick up the bonus, but so I think they would have to beat them by the 1.25.
It's one of those waiting and going over.
Yeah, South East Stars 175 compared to 0.02.
Over the wicket to Amy Jones, who rocks back and just sends it for no run to Fran Wilson.
0.02, the Diamonds run rate going into this game, so they could go past the 18 points Stars would get, but I think it's likely that Vipers might keep their 100% record. We'll get that score in a moment.
It's Hennessy. Amy Jones rocks back, sent it out to the deep cover fielder just for a single, as Katie George throws that back into the keeper. Just looks like she's got all the time in the world, Amy Jones, just placing that nicely through the gap in the field, but so the field again is well placed there on the boundary rope to just get that to a single.
So Northern Diamonds have begun with the bat against Southern Vipers on the south coast and are 28 for one at the moment.
It's Hennessy round the wicket now to the left-handed Eve Jones. who rocks back, just tries to flick that off her legs, but it's been given a wide. It's definitely thinking their plan to Eve Jones, this line that they're bowling. It seems that both Gibson and Hennessy have done very similar in trying to get it almost on her thigh pad, if you like.
Yeah, it was an attempted slower ball, that one, it felt, but it wasn't as effective as Hennessy would have liked.
And that's a wide again, as the keeper made actually some decent ground to get in hold of that one in the end. Hennessy not got as long a run up as Gibson from this end, but seems to still get the power and the pace behind the delivery, but just struggling to find her line early on here. It's Hennessy again into Eve Jones. She's clipped that one off her legs, just the single. And Fran Wilson coming in from the boundary, cleaning up nicely.
It's a dangerous ploy, isn't it, trying to bowl at the pads in one-day cricket, and Hennessy's found out on 2 occasions there just how fraught with difficulty it can be, as she's dragged 2 down and then been clipped away for another single.
Eve
so
Jones
3 off one ball,
does tend to clip it away, I think, more than play the heavy pull shot through that leg side. So I suppose you can keep her there rather than putting it on the offside for her. Then hopefully, as long as you can keep those wides at bay, then it should be a lower score. It's Hennessy into Amy Jones, a shorter ball, and it's pulled away just down to the fielder at deep mid wicket. Throws it straight back in just for a single.
Now I should ask Sarah again, of course, coaches as part of the Warwickshire setup. Where's the level 4 qualification at the moment? Are we in progress with that?
We're in year 2 at the moment, following some players who unfortunately have got their exams at the moment, so not doing as much with them as Hennessy. Slower ball again into Amy Jones. Has hit that straight down the ground, and that's gone for 4. An excellent sort of clubbed back over the bowler's head there, if you like.
Yeah, nice shot by Eve Jones there. Just finding the room and hitting the ball back over the bowler's head and away for 4 runs. But yeah, they're quite lengthy qualifications, those ones, aren't they?
Yes,
the level 4, but
yeah, finding some time to work with players over the summer now, and fortunately it never quite works out how you want. So my batter was at a game the other day and we won. Well, good that we won by 8 wickets, but then she doesn't get into bat, so you can't look at what she's done outside the wicket, but it's getting there. As Hennessy into Eve Jones, slower ball again, and it's just a dot ball straight back into her hands to finish the over, and the score is on 49 for 1 off 8 overs.
So 9 off the over, and the sunshine returning here at New Road. I was wondering how sort of busy it would be on a bank holiday weekend as I came through Worcester, but the weather I think had stopped a few maybe gathering down by the river as I came over the bridge, but more sunshine like this, and they'll be back out, I'm sure, to enjoy that as the tallest of the trees sort of sway in the direction of the Diglis end, and the ponytail of Holland is being done up, ready to come into the attack from the New Road end here.
So just keeping the changes ringing now, Western Storm with the bowlers, so Holland coming on for her first over to replace Griffith.
They'd clearly decided that Nicholas was their bowler for the power play, but now the power play's done. They're rotating the seam bowlers, and Holland bowls, and it's outside the off stump, and Jones is immediately onto the front foot and driving away square on the offside for 1 run to the fielder on the boundary, and that brings up the 50 for the Sparks with that single. So the Sparks 50 coming from the first ball of the 9th over. Doesn't feel as if it's going to be a sort of 150 plus pitch, this one, but the Sparks will try and get there. They've got wickets in hand is the thing that'll help them, as Eve Jones this time drives into the leg side, and another 1 is taken, another 1 onto the score. 51 for 1 the Sparks total.
I think without the explosiveness of Izzy Wong at the start of the order, then perhaps they're always going to struggle to get that much further down, but they do have some bigger hitters coming in later on in Glenn and Arlott that might make
Holland
a difference.
To Amy Jones, who cuts into the offside but can't find a way past Griffiths at backward point.
Of course, the game at Edgbaston the other night, we had Glenn and Arlott trying to get them over the mark at the end. It didn't quite happen for them, but we did see some explosive hitting during that time.
Yeah, Sunday's match, Sparks' only defeat of the competition, and it came via the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method, which shows the form they've been in. Now this one's cracked away into the leg side. Katie George is round to do the fielding. There's a scamper through for a second by the captain, Eve Jones. She gets there and takes the score on to 53-1. But yeah, I mean, what they've done well, though, is they've ensured they haven't lost those 3 wickets in the power play, which we often hear is a crucial marker of a side heading to defeat if they do lose 3 in the power play. As Amy Jones faces up, leaves outside the off stump. I think she felt that was going to be a wide, and
yeah.
it just snuck inside the blue line.
And also Sparks, I think, a little bit unfortunate with the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern system that Amy Jones had just been run out at the non-strikers end just before the rain break, and maybe that could have made a little bit difference to the score, and of course to have her back in after that rain break may have also made the difference.
Here comes Holland again, and oh, that's a clever shot, and it's going to be 4 runs from Amy Jones. Just got down, she didn't go with the sort of, well, I don't suppose there isn't a traditional scoop, is there? It's one of these modern inventive shots, but she didn't go over the leg side with it, as scoops first went when they were first innovated into the game. She actually went through sort of the slip area, but she knew it was a safe way to the boundary. She found the boundary.
Fine line, isn't it, between getting too much on it, and we've seen the scoop played at various degrees of success throughout this competition. A couple of attempts that have hit their own wickets, a couple that have gone for 4s or 6s, but it's one of these shots that they will practice in the nets, and you can see now that it's coming to the fore in most of the games that we watch.
57-1 the score then at the end of the 9th. The only wicket to go so far is that of Izzy Wong. She was out for 2, caught by Holland off the bowling of Gibson after trying to play a lusty blow over the leg side, but was not able to clear the fielder on the edge of the ring in the, what it has to be said, is very blustery wind here at New Road today.
Yeah, and I think it's the conditions of this competition have been varying, to say the least, but the girls are used to playing in all sorts. We see Fee Morris coming into Eve Jones, who's hit that just for a single down to Katie George in the mid-wicket area.
Yes,
There's some sort of band in the background I can hear, I'm not sure. I don't know whether it's some sort of jubilee.
It does sound like a little Jubilee March going on, doesn't it, in the distance, perhaps down New Road over the bridge and off past the road that runs past the hotel here. But yes, certainly some musical accompaniment of some description.
It's Fee Morris. Some more spin coming in as a reverse from Amy Jones. I think she did get something on it. We'll wait for the umpire's signal as they chase it down to the boundary just underneath here as Claire Nicholas does the fielding. She must have got something on it because there was no signal from the umpire, so that'll go down as runs to take the score to 60-1 in the 10th over. To look at the contrasting strike rates as we discussed earlier, Amy Jones on 30 off just 23 balls and Eve Jones on 25 off 28. As Amy Jones is playing that down to long on just for 1 bounce and a single as it comes back into the hands of Fee Morris behind the stumps. It's getting louder as it's getting closer, this music.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're coming for us here, Sarah, again, which is slightly concerning.
Morris to Eve Jones, who uses her feet nicely, back down to that long on fielder for another single.
And lots of shouting as well as they're getting nearer, so it's a sort of aggressive march as well at the moment. It's almost has the feel of a battle reenactment or something like that. But yeah, as I say, as long as they don't come for us up here on this balcony, we should be fine.
It's Morris to Amy Jones, hits that through the mid wicket. I think that's going to go for 4 runs. Yeah, 2 fielders in chase, but in vain. It's another great shot by Amy Jones. All the time in the world, rock back onto the front foot and just hit that with some power through the mid wicket boundary.
And this is what Sparks have done well. They now have the wickets in hand. Okay, they had a go with Izzy Wong at the top. They realised that perhaps wasn't the way to go, and they've just reined it back slightly, and now they've got the wickets to accelerate with.
As Morris over the wicket to Amy Jones, who hits that again through the mid-wicket area, not quite with as much force as the shot before, and the fielder will get round, but they will get a good 2 runs there.
Couldn't quite free her arms on that occasion, and the ball just went slightly straighter, but still 2 to the total, and still concerning for Fee Morris here, who is a operator who's been going about spin bowling for some years. Won the county championship title when she moved to Hampshire in 2018, also with the Southern Viper in the KSL, and was with Brave in the 100, but struggling there to contain Amy Jones. 68 for 1 then, so another decent over takes us up to the 10th over. 11 added in that one, and that's just the sign that they're going to try and accelerate here as Davina Perrin, it looks like, runs the drinks on that. The one change from the side, she's missed out on this last group stage game.
She hasn't been called upon much with the bat, Davina Perrin, in this tournament, because that shows how Sparks have been doing. She had a bat last Sunday at Edgbaston, but probably not been called upon as much as she
as in comes Smale, another change of bowling from the New Road end. This one driven down the leg side by the left-handed Jones, and picks up another single to the total. 69 she moves on to, and Amy Jones back onto strike. 69 rather, the Sparks total moves on to. Eve Jones has 27 of them, and Amy Jones has 37 from 26, and is continuing to show her run scoring prowess in this competition as he comes down the pitch, drives up towards mid-off. There probably was one there if they really wanted it, but Amy Jones decided not, particularly given she was 2 paces and probably a bit by the time she hit it down the track. She almost got there a little early as Smale bowls again. Left arm around the wicket to Jones, hit hard at cover, and Sophie Luff has to be on hand to do the fielding. Western Storm, one of the KSL franchises which was kept in this regional structure, but they perhaps haven't had despite winning it on the KSL, the previous competition, on 2 occasions, and I suppose having won the last one as that single is worked away to make it 70 for 1, they almost are still the champions of the KSL in some ways, even though this Charlotte Edwards Cup has now replaced it, and that was won by the Vipers, and the Vipers seem to have kicked on from their KSL days, perhaps a little bit better than Western Storm have. They were fighting it out in the first edition as that one's bowled. Smale has a wicket. Eve Jones has gone down the track, tried to give herself room, given herself too much room, and she's bowled. Eve Jones out, departs for 27, bowled by Smale. It's 70 for 2.
Yeah, she didn't quite time that run down the wicket well enough there. Great to see the intent from Eve Jones to push on, and as we said, we think that was the message that came on with drinks from Davina Perrin, was to just sort of carry on. They've got wickets in hand, up the run rate, but Eve Jones would be disappointed not to get anything on that, and I think the delivery, just watching it back on the screen, did move a little bit maybe, and she just played through the wrong line of it and was bowled by Smale.
Well, excellent work from Sophia Smale to pick up that wicket there, and Eve Jones will have to go and contemplate what she can do in terms of tactics and field positionings to keep her team on course for a win here. 70 for 2, 11th over. Perhaps they'd like a few more runs here, but strong position.
Yeah, they've still got a strong batting order coming in now. We've got Abby Freeborn coming into the crease, who we know can hit a good ball as well, and I don't think this will slow the rate down too much from where it is already.
Joined the Sparks franchise from Lightning, did Abby Freeborn, and maybe quite glad she did, because she's on her way to finals day if they can win this game, as this one is just pushed down the onside of straight. There will be nervous Sparks fans around, I imagine, as that dot ball finishes the over at 70 for 2, that they perhaps won't get to their first finals day, but it looks on course, doesn't it? It just feels coming into this day that there's enough things that that could happen that would see Sparks there, that they're very firm favourites to get there.
Yeah, and you'd hope that, say, a strong performance so far with the bat, you'd think, and we've seen a lot of particularly Sarah Glenn and Hannah Baker bowling very tightly in this competition. They've been hard to get away, together with the Izzy Wong combination and Arlott and Potts, who are all playing today with the experience of Liz Russell, so they've got a lot on their side. As in comes Alex Griffiths from the far end to the right-handed Amy Jones, who just knocks that straight back to mid-off for no run.
Yeah, just pushing it up there really to Hennessy. So, as I say, it seems to me as if Storm have just struggled to carry over KSL days in the same way that Vipers had. I suppose the big thing Vipers have is that continuity of the coach, Charlotte Edwards.
Yeah, as Gibson. Amy Jones rocks back, sends that to mid-wicket to the fielder for one run. I think what's great about both the Storms and the Vipers is they've kept the names, they've kept the tradition, and they've kept going and built on the base that they had through the KSL. Storm, I think, have rebuilt a little bit more in the coaching staff and the players, whereas the Vipers have got quite a lot of experience there and sort of kept some of the clientele, as we've said, throughout the competition, which is probably the difference between the two teams. It's Gibson into Freeborn. Push it forward. Push that into the offside for just a single to get her off the mark.
They were certainly fighting out in the first edition of the competition when we had that sort of north-south divide in the teams. It was certainly Storm and Vipers who dominated the South group, but last season Storm struggling, and they just haven't quite found their rhythm in the 2020 competition, which you may be, given the KSL was 2020.
Yeah, as Griffiths is tucked into the leg side by Amy Jones for one run. I think with the experience that they've got, though, with Sophie Luff and Fran Wilson, they are sort of, I guess, more known for the longer form of the game a little bit. They're worker players. Luff perhaps doesn't have quite the amount of power, but she's got the patience, and we might see quite a different side going into the 50 over competition. It's Griffiths into Freeborn. Slightly shorter delivery. Freeborn rocks back and misses that, goes straight through to the keeper's hands.
Yeah, just flirting with that wide line again, but keeping it just the right side and into the gloves of Wraith. And if a keeper catches it standing up, I think that's always a pretty good indication that there's no danger of a wide ball. But yeah, as you say, you'd sort of almost expect them to kick on from a 20 over competition in the KSL to Charlotte Edwards Cup, but
Griffiths again, no run to Freeborn.
As you say, in terms of personality, it is the likes of Wilson and Luff who will be more suited to the longer format, where we have a group of 8, of course, for the Rachel Hayo Flint Trophy, and all the teams play each other, so you get a good indication of exactly where everyone stands in that longer 50
it's a different format, isn't it? And I say having the whole of the Charlotte Edwards first, and then moving through from the Commonwealth Games and the 100, and then into the Rachel Hayo Trophy. So keeping it almost two separate. You wonder how many changes we'll see throughout all of these squads. I'm guessing they have got less sort of depth in their squads than perhaps traditionally in the men's game, and there will be more crossover with your players. But I think we'll still see some changes.
Here's Smale bowling, and this one's driven down the onside, quite wide in the end through the mid-on area, and 1 to Amy Jones's total. We can just go back to Jones now, I think, now that Eve Jones has departed. So Amy Jones left at the wicket, 74 for 2. That single takes it on as Smale continues again, left arm around the wicket to Freeborn, who was frustrated, sort of almost got there a bit early and then kind of ended up jamming her bat in the floor rather than hitting the ball the way she would have liked with a fluid swing. And again, Smale just able to cramp the swing of Abby Freeborn at the crease, and it's another dot ball, 2 in a row. Looks to produce a third, and this one could be caught, but no, Hennessy not able to backpedal at mid-off, and Gibson has to come round from long on to do the fielding behind it. Perhaps a few more strides there were needed by Hennessy. It adds 2 to the total, 76 for 2. Jones on 41, Freeborn facing on 3, again trying to line up to go high in aerial, but again being cramped for room was Abby
There's a little
Freeborn.
bit of frustration in that shot from Freeborn, trying to get the run rate on, and it was just lucky to clear the head of Hennessy.
Smale sensing a wicket perhaps. Hennessy with a good bit of fielding, looking for the direct hit, couldn't get it. There's a chance of overthrows here. They're going to go for it belatedly. There's no wicket-keeper at the stump, and that will help them get through for that second run. The right thing to do from Hennessy there. She perhaps a little bit culpable for the catch, not getting her feet going, but it was hit harder to there. Clean pickup, swift throw. It was very close, but didn't produce the
I think it was off camera at the time, but I think there was probably 3 or 4 of the Storm players trying to back that up in desperation, and did get there eventually, but it went through for a couple of runs. But yeah, Hennessy was in two minds there, I think, whether to turn round and backpedal or whether to just try and reach over ahead, and I don't think in the end perhaps she should have got back before making that dive for the ball.
Yeah, it's perhaps that indecision that just made her look slightly stationary from our position on the boundary, that she was kind of trying to decide what to do and didn't end up really committing to either.
It's Holland back on at the Diglas end here. Western Storms are going for spells of 1 over at the moment. I wonder how much this is making any difference to the batters, or whether the likes of Amy Jones is quite settled there now. It's Holland into Jones. She's just rocked back and hit that away as a dive from Smale to probably stop that going for the boundary, but they'll still pick up 2. That was a well-placed shot, and I think Smale did well to get a hand on that there.
Steered in the end, wasn't it? Kind of just showed it away around the corner, and it looked, if it had not got that Smale hand, as if it was destined for the boundary. I think Amy Jones is at the stage of her innings where whatever ball comes down, she'll see it pretty well and hit it pretty well.
It's Holland to Jones, forward, and that has gone. It's going to go through to the third man boundaries. A chase from Smale again, but no, that's 4 runs. Not hit cleanly, but still the desired result there.
Well, actually, the first shot was the cleaner connection, the better shot, but Smale got a hand to it. That one almost came off the toe of the bat and went away for 4 runs.
Yeah, exactly. It's a funny game, cricket, isn't it?
It certainly is, and quite an annoying one in that sense sometimes, that you play a very good shot and get nothing for it. But
Holland to Jones, who's played it for the 3rd time in a row, but it's a dot ball this time. She's on to 47 of just 36 deliveries. That strike rate maintaining, as we discussed earlier, she's maintained that through the game today.
Well, Smale has her hands on her hips because she was probably thinking, I've bowled my over, I'm going to have a nice quiet time at short third for this over, and she's been in the action every ball.
Every ball so far, yeah. Jones just using sort of pace off the delivery and just working it through this offside.
Approaching a half century, Amy Jones now.
It's Holland. It's a bit of a fuller delivery. Oh, not quite the same shot, but for the same sort of area into Fran Wilson at point for no run. So if she got either a little bit more or a little bit less on it, it's probably runs, isn't it, here?
Yes.
If you've missed the short third man, but so probably the least clean of the hits has gone for 4. It's Holland to Jones, who's tried to reverse this time into exactly the same fielder as a dot ball to Smale again.
They almost need to let someone else have a go here, because they're very much playing their own game, the bowler, the batter and the short third fielder. So Amy Jones, this would be her 3rd 50 of the competition if she can get there. She's 3 runs away.
As Holland back up her mark, taking her time, pacing into the crease to Jones, who's gone the opposite direction for this delivery, sending it into mid-wicket for a single.
She's almost fetched that from, well, she has fetched that from a long way outside off stump, and if any ball was going to go through the offside, it was probably the last one.
Oh yeah.
Because it was dragged down and short, but Jones decided to go the opposite direction.
I think that just proves in the modern game as well, though, how many different shots you can potentially play to the same ball that's landed in the same place. You say open the face for one shot, let her hands go through a different, then she's met the ball and sent it through mid-wicket, so 3 different shots to essentially a very similar delivery.
So 14 overs gone in the innings, and the score is on 85 for 2. So a platform, but runs needed here for the Sparks. It's not felt a day where we were going to get a 150 at any point in this innings, but they'll want to get up to 130, you would think, from here, and there's still a fair bit of work to do. Bowling here is Gibson, and this one is brilliantly just swept away for 4 runs. It was a kind of a paddle sweep, really, and that is the 50 for Amy Jones. 52, a third of the competition, and she is in very, very good touch going into the international summer. Sarah Ginn mentioning earlier on the Central Sparks YouTube live stream that we've got Commonwealth Games, we've got the 100 coming up as well, and we've got test matches and series against South Africa and India in one-day cricket, and Amy Jones, after probably a frustrating winter, is getting into good touch, and she's hit this one over the top on the offside, and it's going to bounce away a couple of times for 4 more runs. Takes the score onto 93 for 2. Jones accelerating now, she's past 50.
Yeah, that was an excellent shot. Just again, calmly used her feet, came down, hit it over mid-off. He was in the ring, and it looks like they might be making a change to the field. No, they're still going with mid-off up and mid-on back on the boundary.
Well, it was a long discussion, wasn't it, between the bowler Gibson and her captain Luff, but it hasn't resulted in sending Hennessy any further back than she is already. Long on is the fielder in position, and they're going to have a chase on to the right, but Griffiths does it well and gets round towards the mid-wicket fielder. Katie George picks up and returns. 2 more to the total. 95 for 2. The accelerator being pressed in this over in terms of increasing the run rate. 10 off the over already, and there are 3 balls to go in Gibson's 3rd over of the game. She bowls now a little bit slower, worked away by Amy Jones. She'll only get 1 on this occasion. It's returned flat and hard into the keeper Wraith's gloves. 96 for 2.
Yeah, it's been a good over from the Central Sparks, and it's pushed that rate a little bit higher, and so they'll be really looking, with only 2 wickets down, to continue at least at this rate for the remainder of the game. Freeborn
has licence. Gibson delivers. It's chopped awkwardly again by Freeborn, and Wraith comes across to tidy up in the leg side from the wicketkeeper's position. No run there. Again, Freeborn really just has to have a swing off this last ball, see if she can clear the ropes somewhere, but I think that's what she's trying to do, and it's just not coming off.
Yeah, a little bit of frustration from Freeborn here, but I think if she just keeps playing a calm head, then hopefully something will come.
Gibson again from the New Road end, cut into the offside. It was powerfully hit, so they decided to go for the single. It was a risky one. It was well picked up by Holland over there, but return couldn't prevent the run being scored. 97 for 2 then, after 15 overs. 5 overs remaining. A noticeable acceleration from the Sparks there, taking 12 from the over and looking to just, as I say, start to increase up to that 130 mark, and perhaps even beyond it. They might be fancying it, having taken 12 from that over.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if wickets do fall now, who will come in the batting later, because say we've got some sort of steady middle order batters to come, but then you've also got the explosive hitters, maybe of Sarah Glenn or Emily Arlott slightly lower down the order, and I fancy there might be a change if there's only a few overs to go.
Well, midweek we saw Arlott come in a little higher. It didn't come off on that occasion, but yeah, she can certainly, long levers I think is the description that you get of Emily Arlott.
Because I'm not sure whether it was a game here last year that she actually opened the batting for the Sparks, so a similar sort of experiment to the Izzy Wong opening the batting. Arlott's been in that position before as well, and can hit the ball really nicely straight down the ground.
That one sneaking through outside the off stump. No run.
Griffiths into Freeborn. Puts her hands through the ball a little faster this time. That's going to hopefully reach the boundary down. There's a dive. Oh, it's unlucky. It was well, great attempt down at the long off there, but that has gone for 4 runs to Abby Freeborn.
Yeah, there was a little deflection off either. I think it must have been off the bowler, and slowed it up slightly, but couldn't prevent the 4 being scored, and the 100's up. 101 for 2.
the ball has retrieved from over the screen. I think it was just clipped over then, unfortunately, just at the boundary, and Griffiths would be a bit unlucky that wasn't stopped there on the boundary. She comes in to Freeborn, has used her feet, just worked it to mid-wicket for no run.
Smattering of spectators around New Road, like the smattering of rain we had, which has probably put off one or two, you would imagine. But the sun's out now for those who've come and sat over by the hotel and up at the Diglas end and are looking on.
It's Griffith into Freeborn. It's coming down the ground, desperately trying to get this away, isn't she? She's got a single down to long on there. I think you can see the intent here, and it feels like only a matter of time before the ball might travel over the boundary again, but she's not quite timing it as she'd probably hoped so far in this innings, Abby Freeborn.
No, just not quite connecting the way she'd like. For those keeping an eye on the Test match, England in a spot of bother at 74 for 4. We're needing another 203 for victory.
So Jones moving around in her crease. She's hit that through. It's a great dive there from left, but it's gone through for 4 through the covers. That's a sort of premeditated shot, you thought, there, by the way that Amy Jones used her feet as the bowler was coming in there to get herself into position to play that, what turned out to be a slightly fortunate shot through cover to the boundary. One
thing's for sure, if Northern Diamonds are to have any chance against the Southern Vipers, they're 94 for 2, needing a win to put pressure on Stars and Sparks. They're going to need Storm to get Amy Jones out, because she's increasing this total here.
Jones rocks back, plays that straight to Fran Wilson at point for no run.
And that will be the end of the over. 106 for 2. So 9 off that one. But still keeping that rate going. The boundary in the over was the key. But as I say, I think if Western Storm don't get Amy Jones before the 20 over mark, or probably even before the 19 over mark, they might be in a little bit of trouble here, because Jones looks as if she has the potential to take this game away from Western Storm.
Watching Amy Jones over the last few games, I mean, it's even more noticeable when you're here watching in person how much time she seems to have for every delivery, and how she's got a calm head out there. And I think it's hopefully that the younger Sparks players are learning from that as this competition's progressing.
Here's Smale, and Freeborn down the track, meets it on the full, only picks up 1. A sort of shot that had a bit more effort than the result it got into it, but it does produce just the single. 107 the score, but yeah, has had a good run in this competition, Amy Jones, in her 6th match at the moment, and continuing to progress her total. Might even trouble her best of 80 if she keeps going the full way through. As Smale bowls, and Jones has gone for a big heave and is bowled. And we said that Western Storm had to get Amy Jones to get into a position where they could chase a total. Well, they've got her.
They have, and maybe one shot too many there from Amy Jones, but she was just looking to progress the rate and didn't quite get hold of that again. Quite a similar dismissal, you'd say, to Eve Jones, trying to be positive to the spinner and not quite connecting with the ball.
Amy Jones out, bowled by Sophia Smale with a score on 107 for 3. Attempting a big heave over the leg side, but just unable to connect with the slog sweep.
It's a cool head from Sophia Smale. We talked about her being a youngster fresh into the side this year. We saw her in that desperate run chase, if you like, those overthrows, and she was out in the middle with Alex Griffiths, and sort of helped them take the game over the line there as well. And it looks like she's going to shape up as a very decent cricketer.
Certainly does, and a prize wicket there of Amy Jones, who made 63 in her innings, and Amy Campbell is the new batter to the crease. And as I say, I think that'll just bring the total back more towards the sort of the 130 mark, you would think. I think it was threatening to go above it, as this one's driven by Campbell, but again, a batter coming in first ball, and it just not coming as cleanly off the bat as would perhaps be expected. Smale again, left arm over to the left-handed Campbell, who's taken on the pad. 2 balls without a run for her. Waits, raises the bat, back into the crease slightly, tries to sweep. Freeborn's through for the 1. Campbell has to be a little careful to put a bat down in time, but was always going to make it. 108 for 3 then. So emphasis now shifts back onto Freeborn. What can she produce?
Yeah, she's on 12 off 16 balls, so ticking over the score nicely, but perhaps haven't seen anything explosive from her just yet.
Smail around the wicket to the right-hander, hit cleanly down the ground, but Gibson is there. 1 taken. 109 for 3 is the score, with 3 overs of this Sparks innings remaining. And we'll give you full details of that Amy Jones innings of 63. She was there 46 balls in 53 minutes and hit 9 fours. So another half century, a third of the competition, third in 6 games. Not bad going, is it?
No, it's. I mean, she's played a great part in this side, Amy Jones, as she has done for England over the years, and talked about a slightly disappointing form over the winter, but you know, she's going to be going into the competitions now, the Commonwealth Games and the series against South Africa, hopefully on a high. As Hennessy's tossing the ball up at the Diglis end, coming in to Abby Freeborn. So slower delivery to start us off. Freeborn hits it down the ground to long on for a well-timed single.
And we should also mention Sophia Smail finishing 4 overs, 17 runs for 2 wickets. So an impressive contribution for the Western Storm from Sophia Smail, backing up what you were saying there, Sarah, again, that she is a player of some considerable potential.
Yeah, and I think even at such a young age now, the girls have got a lot of opportunities. She goes to a school where she will play cricket there as well, and you know, you can see that her experience and cool head is starting to pay off. As Hennessy round the wicket to Campbell, uses her feet a little bit, just got sort of squeezed a little bit there, but managed to race through for a leg bye.
Yeah, just couldn't get the bat involved there. Was trying her best, but the pads were a little in the way and it had been speared in at them. 111 for 3.
So hoping for something bigger off this over to keep that rate high, as Hennessy into Freeborn puts her hands through the ball. She hit that over the top of mid-off, and that's 6. It's the first 6 of the game. There's an excellent shot. So it was hopefully only a matter of time, but she's finally got hold of one as Abby Freeborn, and that sailed over mid-off's head for 6. Can't help but think, did she look up there? Did she know? I think she did. She looked up and saw that mid-off has come into the ring and mid-on was on the boundary, and then she's hit it over her head for an impressive 6 runs there.
Well, she's been looking for a ball in that arc since she's come to the crease, and she's just not connected with one, but when she did, it was worth the wait.
Let's see what Hennessy has in reply here. She tosses the ball up again, hand to hand, comes in, back to Freeborn, who hits that powerfully again, but it's just going to be a single, not quite fielded cleanly there at mid-off, and she scampers through to bring Amy Campbell back on strike.
Great to have more than 2,000 of you with us watching the live stream brought to you on the Central Sparks YouTube channel. Mike Perkins and Sarah Ginn for company, and keep adding to those 303 thumbs ups, the likes, they help people find us.
To Campbell, who also uses her feet, sending it. Is it going to clear the head? Oh, it's a good effort there at mid-off, but it was, you have to say, it was probably a drop there, unfortunately.
Well, it was swirling in the wind, and it was always sort of stopping on Gibson, and she should have really clung on, because I think actually wind can often be difficult for fielders, but actually I think it was in her favour there, and she'll be disappointed not to cling on to that.
I think again it's that case of, do I turn and go or do I just backpedal, and I think it not quite timed it there as Hennessy back into Campbell, who uses her feet again, this time safely along the ground, and not quite fielded that cleanly, Danny Gibson, so they've scampered through for a single.
Now a reminder, the Diamonds have to win to put pressure on Central Sparks and South East Stars in Group B. They would be able to, the way these groups work, it's that the best placed of the 2 second place teams who progresses to the final with to contest an eliminator with the worst place of the first place teams. We know Southern Vipers will be the best placed of the first place teams. There's no way that Sparks can catch them or Stars can catch them. However, as Nicholas comes back on for her remaining over that she saved from the start, and she's brave, bowling them at the start and now bowling them at the end with just 2 more remaining. But also they have to rely on these sides not picking up wins. Sparks trying today, Stars trying tomorrow, as that one's worked away into the leg side. And as for Diamonds, as a score here moves on to 122 for 3. They currently find themselves 109 for 3, but they are in the 17th over there, so a little bit behind where we are, with all the spinners of Western Storm contributing to the over rate. Although, as we say that, there's some field changes being made, which just sort of delays things momentarily. But looks as if there'll be similar sort of totals, perhaps on similar sort of days. It was a little sunnier up north when I set off. I wasn't even going to bring the jumper out today, but I'm glad I've got it on now, because there's a stiff breeze bowling as that single was taken up to long on. 123 for 3.
We had cricket weather for a good 5 overs in the middle, didn't we, where the sun came
Yeah,
out.
it just keeps tempting us, doesn't it? Just reminding us what we had. Obviously glorious Bank Holiday Friday yesterday, but not quite got the same today. 124 for 3. The green leaves of the trees in the distance swaying around in that breeze, as is the hair of Claire Nicholas, who's on her way again. Slightly Rue not clinging on to Eve Jones in the first over. She had no chance of clinging on to that one. It was past her in a flash. They're going to go back for 2. There's a chance of a run out, but the throw would have had to have been quicker and more accurate than it was in the end. 2 more taken. 126 for 3. The total moves on to Sparks. As I say, they're just going to be around that 130 mark unless they can have a very big final 8 balls of this innings, and that won't be one of them, because Wraith has whipped the bails off for the stumping, and Freeborn trying to accelerate things. She hit that 6, which was perhaps the most notable shot of the innings so far, but she departs for 24, out stumped off the bowling of Claire Nicholas, who's bowled 3 at the top and come on and bowled 1 at the end as well, and gets a reward with a wicket.
Not had the easiest of spells there, has she? So bowl some in the power play, you can only have 2 out, and then come back on in the 19th over where they're looking to accelerate. But I suppose that just shows the experience behind a player like Claire Nicholas. This won't daunt her, because she was part of the Western Storm setup, and she's been playing for Wales for many years. And
well, you were saying she's a cricketer, Sarah Ginn, that you remember well.
Yeah, I think I played with Claire when she was probably 13, 14 when we first started the Welsh women's side, and even back then, you know, she had a lot of talent, and she's just recently had a young boy, Jack. I think he's just turned 1, but she's now still carrying on, and you can shows what you could do working full time, playing cricket and having a young family.
Well, I could be wrong, but I think Jack's here today because I think I saw Claire Nicholas getting the pram out and getting a bit of help to keep Jack entertained for the day while she was on the pitch, as there's a single to Gwennon Davis, who's the new batter to the crease, always busy when she is at it, and she takes the total on to 127 for 4. So Central Sparks, they're going to get that 130, we know that, but how far can they go beyond it in this final over? It's just not felt a day where, with this predominantly overcast weather, the pitch maybe are a tad on the sticky side, although it looks a good one from this distance, and that run scoring's been easy. So what do you think they can get to this over?
Yeah, I mean, they'd be hoping for a big over to finish here. I mean, sort of 135 plus would be great. Anything over that, I think, will be a bonus. So it's gone a couple of ways, this game, hasn't it? When Amy Jones really started to fire, you'd think they could have almost got up to 140 plus, but then there has been times where the run rate was a lot slower, and so with 2 relatively new batters to the crease now in Davis and Campbell, they could just get some runs and work it through when Holland is last over from the Diglas end to finish us off in this Sparks innings. So just a few field placements. We've got Holland round the wicket to the left-handed Gwennon Davis, who's trying something different there. It's not like Gwennon, is it at all? Something we always see something different from her, I think, when she comes to the crease.
The 3 back on the leg side though, so you can understand why she's looking for another option for her boundary.
Yeah, I wonder if she could clear the head of Smale here at fine leg as well as Holland. It's a full toss there to Gwennon Davies, who's got something on it, perhaps not as much as she'd have hoped, and she's scampering through now, and that will be 2 runs. Just waiting to check. The umpire didn't give anything then, but I think she was safely in her ground.
Very quick Gwennon Davies between the stumps, and she proved it there. And perhaps, I think, if she'd had her time again on that first ball, she might have gone for the option of trying to break the gap at extra cover, and I think that's what she was trying to do there, but it went a little bit squarer than she would have liked. But busy cricketer, as we say, 3 from 3 now.
Yeah, she definitely makes things happen, and she's got a certain way of playing. She plays very well square of the wicket, and she'll work the ball away as Holland comes back in. She uses her feet, comes down the track. Oh, she got a hand on that. Just sort of more palmed. It saved it than actually went for the catch there. It looked like a...
Yeah, I think it bounced off the turf there, didn't it? So it was just a case of get something on it and keep it to a single. So the 130 is up. Scores of 63 from Amy Jones, 27 from Eve Jones, and 24 from Abby Freeborn, as well as 2 from Izzy Wong at the beginning of the innings. If you just join us on the Central Sparks YouTube stream.
It's Holland into Campbell. Uses her feet, comes down the track. It's a lovely shot, but just for 1 run. Sophie Love doing the fielding there in the covers. A lot of left-handers in this Sparks side today. So we started off with Eve Jones. We've got Campbell and Davis now, changing the lines of the bowlers coming round the wicket as Davis settles at the crease for Holland. She uses her feet nicely, but it's just only as far as the cover fielder for 1 run. 1 ball remaining. The score's 132 for 4. So perhaps look for a big shot to finish the innings here and get them perhaps over that 135 that we mentioned at the start of this over.
Yeah, they've just struggled to get it away this over, which has perhaps been a story of the innings.
As Holland to Campbell, who's played it across the line somewhat there, but it's going to go away for 1, or they might come back for 2 here. As you said, Gwennon Davies very quick. Oh, and she's just missed the stumps, Nat Wraith there. That would have been Gwennon Davies was safely in her ground the other end, but Campbell just about making it for virtue of the fact that it didn't hit the stumps there for a run out to finish the innings on 134 for 4 off the Sparks 20 overs.
Amy Campbell had given up any pretence of making her crown there, it felt like. So 2 games going on simultaneously. The Northern Diamonds are up against the Southern Vipers, needing to beat the unbeaten side in Group A. Here in Group B, it's the Central Sparks against Western Storm, and the chase will be 135. A significant ask, but perhaps not the toughest. Well, it's certainly not the toughest ask that Western Storm have had this season. They've had chases bigger than that.
Yeah, and I think it might just be a case of the power play will really be key here. Can they get off to a good start? Can they get runs on the board early on with some sort of aggressive batting in the power play? And then we'll see whether they're ahead of the run rate then, and how far they can take it into their innings, really.
Delighted to have had as many as 2,000 of you with us at particular points during that first innings on the Central Sparks YouTube stream. Make sure you hit the like button if you're popping off for a little break in between innings, and make sure you rejoin us for the second half, because it's all up for grabs at the moment. We have a chase of 135 here for the Western Storm to beat the Central Sparks. If the Central Sparks can defend it, they are definitely through to finals day. Their first finals day. It would be a huge achievement for them. Northern Diamonds would also have to win their game against the Southern Vipers, who are unbeaten so far in this competition and will be in the final itself. There's no doubt about that. They are definitely going to be in the final. 126 for 4 going into the final over are the Northern Diamonds. So a very similar situation, Sarah, again, to what we were in here. They were slightly ahead in this game, but it's going to be similar sorts of chases, and it feels that sort of a day, doesn't it, really? That sort of kind of 130 is about par today.
Yeah, and I think at this stage of the competition there is going to be a few nerves around. As we've said, the Vipers are through anyway, but it's still everything to prove, and these players sort of under the pressure of playing in this professional era, and there's a lot of expectation on their shoulders. And the finals day is a big thing to get to for anyone in any competition, but particularly now this year, pushing on this professional era. There's a lot of opportunities for these girls with the hundreds coming up, all these other opportunities that they now have, and you'd think even though you'd effectively say that some teams like the Western Storm can't qualify, they'll still be everything to play for.
Right, now I reckon would be a good time if you want to get a drink or anything like that in between innings, Sarah. Again, if you need to do that, then now's a good time, because I'll quickly run people through the scorecard whilst we're in this mid-innings break. Many of you will have seen it flashing up on the screen there, and you can see the partnerships at the moment. The first one wasn't a particularly big one, just the 5 runs in it before Izzy Wong departed for 2 from her 5th ball, trying to clear the fielder at mid-on, couldn't do so, and it was caught by Holland. The bowler was Gibson, and Wong had to walk back to the Graham Hick Pavilion for just the 2 runs here. Eve Jones fared slightly better. She was out for 27 off the bowling of Sophia Smale. Bowled eventually from her 31st delivery, hit 3 fours in that innings of 27. The score was 70 for 2 when she departed. Amy Jones was the top scorer of the innings, hit 9 fours in a 46 ball innings of 63. She was at the crease for 53 minutes, but was also bowled by Sophia Smale, eventually attempting a slog sweep that she couldn't connect with, but a 3rd half century of the competition for Amy Jones, and she took the score up to 107 for 3 before she was out. And then it was Abby Freeborn, the last batter to lose her wicket today. She was out with the score on 126. The 4th wicket fell from the penultimate ball of the 19th over. Freeborn made 24 runs in 23 balls. She hit 1 4 and an impressive 6 wide of long on in a 29-minute innings. The bowling figures for Western Storm: Claire Nicholas taking the ball at the top of the innings, and then after bowling 3 overs in the power play, bowling the 19th over as well, where she got her wicket. 22 runs she conceded, so 22 for 1 off 4 overs for Claire Nicholas. Danielle Gibson bowled 3 overs and also took a wicket for the cost of 22 runs. No maidens in her analysis. Sophia Smale, perhaps the pick of the Western Storm bowlers, with figures of 17 for 2 in 4 overs without bowling a maiden. 3 overs, no maidens, 18 for none were the figures of Alex Griffiths. Georgia Hennessy, 2 overs, 20 for no run. Neve Holland, 3 overs, 22 for no wicket rather. No wickets for either Hennessy or Holland, and Fee Morris just the 1 over that went for 11. It obviously wasn't a maiden, and it didn't produce a wicket either. So nicely set up if you are just joining us in the mid-session interval. This game, Central Sparks requiring a win to make finals day for the first time. They have set a target of 135 for the Western Storm to win this game at a blustery New Road, it has to be said here today. We're up on the balcony surveying the scene in front of us, the cathedral away to the left hand side, the hotel just more round the corner, and then we've got the ladies pavilion and the Graham Hick Pavilion away to our right hand side. But it's the women on the pitch who will be entertaining us in the second innings of this game. 135 required for Western Storm. Sarah again has rejoined me. You'll have to remind me of exactly where you are in the sort of Warwickshire age group setup at the moment, because I know it moved. You moved sort of up an age group last year. Well, which side are you looking after currently?
I think I didn't move up an age group, but the ECB did change the age groups first. So what I think they found that was happening was that girls between the age of 17 and 18, so effectively year 13, A-level year, weren't involved because it was under 17 historically, but they weren't yet at university, so also not yet involved in that side of cricket. So the ECB made the decision to up the age group to under 18s rather than under 17.
So yeah, so you're now an under-18 coach as opposed to an under-17 coach, but I mean much the same challenges, I imagine, in terms of producing players who can come onto this stage in front of us and impress in the way that, well, we saw Sophia Smale do it for Western Storm there. We've seen the likes of Izzy Wong come through here, of course, at Central Sparks, and I suppose it'll be Izzy who will be clutching that new ball, we imagine.
Yeah, I mean, you probably can't get it off her, can you? She
No.
she loves the new ball early on in the innings. But yeah, she was with us. She's now 20, so probably 3 years ago when she was last in the sort of Warwickshire age group setup, if you like. The Sparks and the other regions all doing great job now with sort of academy setups, EPP. They call this the emerging players setup, and that would be alongside what the girls would do at county level. So Warwickshire would run the county age groups and sort of a junior emerging players, and then they'd go into the Sparks setup after that at maybe 15, 16, the very best talented ones at that age. But there is an acknowledgement that women's cricketers sometimes do develop slightly later as well, so other people would get into that setup at a slightly later age. And also the Sparks and, well, all of the regions have run sort of second 11 games this year, and we've seen a lot of girls in that setup that perhaps were again slightly older, who perhaps aren't featuring for the Sparks but are still getting opportunities to impress.
Northern Diamonds perhaps slightly changing the equation. We're saying they're 126 going into the final over. They've managed to make 141 for 4 in the end, so they've had a very, very good final over there, and perhaps put a bit of pressure on the Vipers to maybe make a total that is a few runs above par, and put the pressure on the Sparks to win their game, and also the Stars who play tomorrow to win their game and secure their places on finals day. So we're mentioning Izzy Wong there, difficult to get the new ball out of hand. I mean, has she always been, certainly in the regional setup, she's been one of those bowlers who runs in, bowls as quick as she can, and she either takes a bundle of wickets or goes for a bundle of runs. Has that always been her philosophy and her approach?
Well, I think she's got such a positive mental outlook that she's not afraid to just say, take that ball, take that opportunity, and just run in as fast as she can and hit the deck, and bowl fast. And if it means that there's the odd wide or the odd rogue ball in there, I don't think she worries too much. I mean, as she's grown a little bit older, I've noticed a lot more sort of, there's a slower ball in her armoury, there's other different things that she can do with it, and she's always willing to give them a try. And she's definitely a character in the game, and it's great that she still sort of, she came to a Warwickshire photo shoot the other day with the young players and the girls, and she's more than happy to talk to all of those young girls and chat through her bowling. And it's great that we've got these role models now in the women's game, and she's definitely one of them.
I think her view on wides in the Women's Cricket Chat podcast was happy days, I get to bowl another ball, which it shows that positive outlook you were talking about. But she'll be wanting to splatter some stumps today, as we know she can. We can see Emily Arlett already out there just repacing her run and just checking it's exactly as she wants it to be. And the Western Storm batters have got their gear on and are raring to go in pursuit of this total of 135.
It'll be interesting how this plays out for the Sparks today. So this is the first time that they've played sort of more seam bowlers in their attack. I mean, they've preferred Liz Russell and Grace Potts to Davina Perrin today. So they've got the experience, as I said, with Russell and the newer, younger Potts coming into the equation as well. But be interesting to see whether they go for the sort of Western Storm approach of varying them amongst the overs and changing it up, or whether we'll see, as is the one really, is Isabel Wong bowling those 3 overs at the start and then finishing off at the end as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what decisions that Eve Jones makes today with the ball.
Yeah, well, she will have had a little bit of time to think about it after a 27 with the bats. We're seeing some fairly strong hitting in the warm-up here from the Western Storm batters, who are making their way out ready to resume this innings. But as I say, the other game we've got to keep our eye on is Southern Vipers versus Northern Diamonds. The chase is 1-4-2 here. The chase here at New Road will be 1-3-5. Diamonds have to win to put pressure on Sparks and Stars in their pursuit of finals day. If Sparks win here, they will reach their first ever finals day. They would like to win with a bonus point just to put Stars out of it and make sure that Stars can't finish above them. But it doesn't really matter, because they will be playing each other, and it will be it was sort of a false ending, really. It wasn't a clean ending, was it, with Duckworth Lewis Stern getting involved the other day. I actually felt at the point they went off for rain, probably if Eve Jones had stayed there and it'd been a full 20 overs, Sparks were probably the favourites at that point, but of course they had to come out and chase a revised total, and then it becomes more of a lottery. So they will be after a game at Northampton next week. People, of course, I encourage you to go along and watch that. They'll be after a clean 20 overs a side game and really see if the first result where Sparks beat South East Stars was in fact the true one.
Yeah, I mean, there's not that much between the two teams, are there? I mean, they play in a different way, but they've both shown some different strengths at different times in this competition, and it's going to be very close to call if that is that sort of first game on finals day next weekend.
And we should mention South East Stars are the current champions as well of the Charlotte Edwards Cup. They won the inaugural competition, so certainly not to be messed with.
Yeah, and they won't want to give that trophy up in a hurry, will they? So they'll be doing everything they possibly can if they do get there next week to make sure that they retain the trophy.
Well, as you're hearing, Georgia Hennessy and Fee Morris stride out to the crease to try and replicate what the likes of Wong, Eve Jones, Amy Jones and Abby Freeborn were able to do, with a bit of assistance from Amy Campbell and Gwen Davis, who's having a long old chat with Hennessy on her way out to the crease. It looks as if a joke or two has been shared, and I think we'll switch ends, Sarah Ginn, and allow you to have the New Road end in the second half of this game. And it looks as if Grace Potts is going to start off from here into the side. Clearly a vote of confidence.
Yeah, she was a little bit unlucky last game she played. I think they got hold of her bowling in the last over, and she ended up with, I think, going for just over 40 in her 4 overs. But she's got a lot of promise as Grace Potts. She can hit a good ball as well. She's good in the field. She's sort of along the lines of Emily Arlett as a bowler, you would say, sort of nice and strong in her run up, and plays her cricket at Staffordshire Juniors and then come up through the ranks. But they're backing her here with the new ball.
A tall figure, and she's on her way from the New Road end.
So Potts into Morris, start us off here. It's an edge. Oh, it's gone for 4 there. So just third man was a bit wider, so it's just missed her there and gone through. Bit of a fortunate edge, you would say, but some runs nonetheless to get them off the mark.
Yeah, Fee Morris, she went for 11 with the ball. Well, she's already taken a good chunk out of that, and if Amy Jones perhaps got a bit fortuitous with a little edge past the keeper, then that's even that one up from the very first ball of the second innings. Grace Potts would have been delighted to find an edge like that in almost any other game that wasn't a game of T20 or one day 50 over cricket.
From the New Road end. So a good strong delivery there for no run. Fee Morris just plays it on into the ground and practices the shot again after looking like she's aiming for the cover area here early on in the innings.
England 83 for 4 in the Test match, needing another 194 to beat New Zealand, but here in the Charlotte Edwards Cup, all eyes on Central Sparks v Western Storm and Vipers v Diamonds.
Played through to Midwick. It's gone through the legs of Hannah Baker there as the chase is on for Sarah Glenn, but it has gone for 4 through the mid-wicket area there. Rather unfortunate fielding there from Hannah Baker through her legs, but Fee Morris has got perhaps a second fortunate 4 of the game so far.
We got to see what a strong runner Sarah Glenn was, because she wasn't giving that up, even though the ball seemed to just be racing away from her the whole way. But Baker's hands on hips, she will be disappointed not to have stopped that one.
So Potts tossing the ball up, coming in from the New Road end. Fee Morris, nice full delivery there. It's gone through the covers on the opposite side. There's a chase for Gwen and Davis here. They will be looking for a couple of runs as the ball comes in to the safe hands of Amy Jones.
Intent here from Fee Morris. As we say, won the county championship with Hampshire, also represented the Vipers and Southern Brave, but now with Western Storm.
Plays her cricket at Gloucestershire for the county setup as well.
Winterbourne, I think, is her club side.
Potts to Morris. Plays that again nicely through the covers, and it has beaten the fielder. It's racing away. It's a big chase here for Eve Jones. I think she might just about make it before it gets to this long boundary in the cover side. Turns around, throws it in. and that'll be 3 runs. Bit more expensive than she'd hoped for early on, Grace Potts here, so it's gone for 13 off the first 5 deliveries, but I don't think she's bowled she's not bowled badly so far, you'd say.
Really held up, didn't it, in the outfield there, because that was nicely hit by Fee Morris, but she'll be quite happy with her work. 13 from her first 5 deliveries, and then
it's Hennessy on strike now for the final delivery of the over from Potts. Shorter, and Hennessy just plays that away to cover Emily Arlott for no run. First over, Western Storm 13 for none.
Yes, 13 for none from the first over, and if we look at the count back, it was a better start than Sparks' 4 without loss from the end of the first over. It was quite a stodgy start from the Sparks, and will they be made to pay for it here? They need a win to make it to finals day, but they could also get there courtesy of Northern Diamonds failing to defend 142 against Southern Vipers on the south coast. Both the games on at the moment. Glad to have you here with us at New Road, though, following the Sparks, following their fortune, seeing if they can make their first finals day. More than 1,000 of you with us to watch Izzy Wong charging in from the Diglas end. Good to see 406 of you as well have hit that little thumbs up button, that little like button to let people know where we are. As Izzy Wong with a slower ball first up, she was approaching as if she was going to let go of one of those rockets. She's run her fingers on it, and Fee Morris, who hits 13 from the first 5 balls of the innings, gets a really great start, but hold on, it could be a no ball, and Wong's celebrations have been cut short. Yeah, and Morris will remain.
Walking off there, but late call I think there from the umpire. There he is, he's signalled the no ball.
Now, was it for height? It can't have been for overstepping.
Can't think it was that high, was it?
Didn't seem to be. Free hit then. So rather than 13 for 1, 14 without loss. A bit of information passed our way, Sarah, again.
I think it can only be for front foot, so yeah, unsure. Can't have been for height. It bowled under a bat.
Well, that seemed that way. In comes Wong again. What will she deliver this time? Another slower ball, and this time Fee Morris approached it in the same way, gave herself the room, but just got a bit of bat on it. How big will that be? First ball of the second over, and Izzy Wong knocked the bails off the top of the stumps, but also overstepped the mark. The celebration was raucous, but it was short-lived. It was joined in by the disco music. The scoreboard even went to 13 for 1, but it's back to 14 without loss, and there will be another couple of runs added to it here. Sarah Glenn's got a chase on right out to the boundary, and in fact Fee Morris is going to come back for 3. Good running from Morris again. She moves on to 16, total on to 17.
Yeah, it was nearly the perfect tactic, wasn't there? Bowl the slower ball first up when she wasn't expecting it, and it nearly all went perfectly, apart from maybe that front foot just stepping over a little bit there.
And all of a sudden, this is representing a very good start for Western Storm. In pursuit of 135. They need another 118 to win this game and to make things really, really nervous for the Central Sparks in terms of making their first final, as the ball races through outside the off stump, and we're hearing it was a no ball for too many people outside of the circle, so perhaps somebody just wasn't quite tiptoeing inside the circle the way they should be. Keep an eye on them, Sarah, again, as Izzy Wong delivers this ball short of a length. Hennessy's cracked it over the infield and away for 4 on the leg side. It just pops up over the rope now. 21 without loss. Were they all on their best behaviour on that occasion?
Yeah,
inside the ring?
I think they were. I think that might be the issue, unfortunately, that think Morris mentioned to the umpire they had too many outside of the ring, so it wasn't actually Izzy Wong on the front foot there at all. It was someone in the field yet to be known to us that perhaps gave that. So of course you can only have 2 fielders outside the ring in the power play for the first 6 overs, and unfortunately Sparks having 3 on that occasion.
Particularly, I mean, you look at Abby Freeborn down here at short, fine leg. She's given herself a good distance to walk in as Wong bowls a very good dot ball there to finish the over. Not quite finish the over, in fact. One more to come in it. 21 without loss. The extra ball, of course, for the fielders, or too many fielders, being outside the circle. The ones who are still outside are at backward square leg and a third. Grace Potts, who bowled the opening over, has her hands on hips as she walks in, and here comes Wong from the Diglis end. Short of a length, it's hit uppishly towards cover. Emily Arlett's there, quick with the hands. Of course, a Worcestershire player, Emily Arlett. Will she hang on to the ball and have a go, or will we see more of Grace Potts?
Yeah.
We're about to find out. 21 without loss after 2 overs. The chase is 135, so another 114 needed to win for the Western Storm, and that will make things nervous for the Central Sparks in terms of getting to finals day.
So I believe it was a third man, so it may well have actually been Grace Potts that was still on the boundary where we couldn't see, just underneath us here, meaning the 3 outside the ring for that delivery, and meaning it was unfortunately a no ball after Izzy Wong did that, executed that slower ball so well and got the wicket of Fee Morris that was overturned by the square leg umpire.
Well done for Fee Morris to stand her ground on that front.
Grace Potts into Morris. He's played that over the mid-wicket fielder, and it's gone for 4. It's an easy, effortless shot there in a way from Morris to bring up another 4 runs.
Yeah, nicely hit by Morris, and these two look ominous from a Central Sparks perspective. The thing that'll bring them a little bit of relief is Vipers are 21 without loss in the second over in pursuit of 142 to beat the Diamonds, and if they win that, the Diamonds won't be able to catch the Sparks and prevent them getting to finals day.
Potts to Morris has played that nicely through, and Sarah Glenn just sort of pouncing on it there just in front of our commentary position at mid-on.
Well, we've seen a few misfields, and I have to say this season in the Charlotte Edwards Cup, the fielding perhaps hasn't been quite what it could have been, but that would have, was a really good bit of fielding because it was doing all sorts off the outfield on the way to Sarah Glenn. It was like it was sort of going across a piece of corrugated iron.
Potts into Morris has hit that firmly down again to Sarah Glenn, and some nice fielding from her. She's probably busier than she'd like to be at this side of the game, Sarah Glenn. We've seen a few chases from her so far, and a couple of diving stops there as well.
I mean, if these players weren't as fit as they are, she'd probably be puffing a bit. I think most of the rest of the population would be, because she's working hard. That one had a smoother trajectory towards her across the turf, so she'll be happy with that, because the other one was going side to side all the way through, and she did very well, as you say, to pounce on it when it got to her.
Potts in again to Morris. Nice high bound at the crease, and she's appealing for an RBW as Hennessy scampers through for the leg bye there, and the umpire not looking interested as they just signal the bye up to the scorers here at New Road. The ball comes back round the field. Eve Jones coming in to have a chat with Potts here, whether she wants any fielders change for the slightly different style of batting of Hennessy, who is now on strike.
Make sure they stay in the ring.
Yeah. Potts into Hennessy, who's flicked that off her legs for 1 run to the square leg brown jersey. Wrong, picks it up and fields it nicely and throws it back in.
Yep, good fielding from Wong out there. Also got the fielder at third. I don't know if it's just the height we're at looking down, but I've always thought of Fee Morris as being taller than she looks at the moment at the crease. I don't know why. She just doesn't look quite as tall as she usually does.
I think Amy Jones is also quite tall behind the stumps, and she's quite tall for a female wicketkeeper. Potts full of bull there. It's just driven as far as Gwen and Davis at point there.
I don't know that Jones is, because at Edgbaston don't they have her as the small marker on the height, you see?
Well, that's the comparison to the male cricketers, isn't it?
It is, but I think it's also because she's not the tallest in the world. I think maybe Hennessy's the tall one here, I think. But either way, it's 27 without loss. We've had 3 overs of this reply. That compares to 10 for 1 in the Sparks innings. So the power play being made better use of at the moment by Western Storm. But the big moment, if you just join us, was Izzy Wong. First ball of the game for her. She bowled Fee Morris, who'd hit 13 runs from the 5 balls she faced in the first over, but it was not out, and we believe, and we've no reason to doubt it, that it was for fielders outside the ring. Too many of them. You're only allowed 2 out in the power play. They're at backward square leg and third at the moment for this one, and this one's driven through cover, and there's going to be a chase on for Emily Arlett. As I say, the outfield not running quite as smoothly as perhaps it would if it had been completely dry before this game.
Yeah, that information coming actually from Australia, where Lauren Rolls is at the moment, who's one of the coaches with the Spark. She's out with the England disability team, I think, trying to get over a jet lag and tuning into the game, but she reliably informs us that was why the no ball took place.
29 for no wicket, the score after those 2 runs. Wong short of a length. Hennessy trying to get a pull shot away, but hits it up to mid-on in the end. And of course the disability cricket now based at Worcester and has its sort of centre of excellence here, and good to see 2 of the teams out on tour. The learning disability team, I think, and the deaf team are away, or the hearing impairment team are away at the moment.
I think they've recently landed to start their Ashes series.
Here comes Wong and bowls, and it's through in a flash to Amy Jones, and that sort of delivery is the one why people get very excited by Izzy Wong. It just leaves the hand, boom, straight into the wicketkeeper's gloves. Really good bit of bowling.
Yeah, she gets some lovely shape and some pace, Izzy Wong, and that's why she can be so dangerous. So we talked in the break about these change balls that she's now got in her armoury, and so unfortunately it didn't come off for her in that first ball, but she's got a slower ball and other various deliveries that can confuse these batters.
What will she release here? Storming in again, and it's Hennessy for the Western Stormers, trying to take a very quick single up to Sarah Glenn, who's disappointed she didn't hit the 3 stumps in the ground from mid-on and prevent the run. 30 without loss as we look towards the sedate cathedral on the other side of the river there, and the green leaves of the trees still being ruffled around in front of it. The flag on top's flapping away, and Grace Potts is coming in now, and back is going Abby Freeborn. So third up, fine leg out. There's also a backward square leg. Only 2 fielders allowed outside the ring, so it's a packed offside here for Izzy Wong, who's bowling to Fee Morris, who's going to clap this one away on the pull. 2 backward square leg, and there is a 1 taken. 31 without loss, the score. A reminder, 134 is the target for Western Storm to win. They need another 103 runs to reach that Sparks total of 134, so 135 to win. And if Sparks don't win, they will be looking nervously at the Northern Diamonds result, because they won't want to be pipped by Diamonds to another finals day, as this one is driven away into the offside. Through goes Hennessy. Storm doing their bit for the Diamonds at the moment. Sparks looking worried. The single takes the score onto 32. Another 103 to reach the 135 required for victory. And Southern Vipers are 33 without loss, with 1 ball remaining in the 3rd over. So Vipers starting well. I think a lot of Sparks fans might also be becoming Danny Wyatt fans at the moment, because she's 31 off 14 balls with 7 fours, having made a half century in the previous game at this last weekend at Trent Bridge.
And with the class of Danny Wyatt and some of the other players there at Southern Vipers, you always do back them, to come to the fore. They've got a very strong batting attack there, and so they obviously using their power play.
Unbeaten, of course, the Vipers.
As Potts into Hennessy. Shorter delivery, Hennessy pokes it down to Sarah Glenn again at mid-on.
I think one thing we're already establishing is the bonus point is going to be difficult for the Sparks to require. I think it's all about just finding a way to win this game now and making sure that they are into that finals day, because it doesn't really matter if they're second or third other than from a psychological point of view.
Yeah, and having the finals day does give the opportunity for a second place team to make it. The two groups, whether they're balanced or not, it still gives, as Potts comes in now to Hennessy's chipped it back, or it's
nearly a run out.
Nearly either a run out or a catch. I think Potts got a little hand to it, and that would have been a cruel way to bin out, but it would have been a wicket, a much needed wicket for the Sparks there.
Definitely an attempt at a catch, but it nearly ended fortuitously in the sense that Hennessy, who's now had a life herself after Fee Morris had the life from the no ball, if you count that as a life, because of course it was a no ball, it was an illegal delivery, but yeah, it nearly dropped onto the stump. Certainly that was the way it appeared from our angle. It was agonisingly close.
Look out as Hannah Baker goes back onto the mid-wicket boundary, and they bring again third man into the ring for this delivery as Potts comes to Fee Morris over the wicket. Short to Lou. Fee Morris rocks back, plays that to mid-off. Eve Jones for no run.
Bad news, folks. 39 for 1, the Vipers, approaching the end of the 4th over. Georgia Adams has 2, Maya Bouchier has 1. Wyatt is out.
We spoke too soon there, didn't we? Although Bouchier obviously starting in the England fold, and Adams a very good strong batter as well, so still plenty to play for. As Morris attempts this paddle sweep there, and the bats drop to the floor. A big cheer from Grace Potts, an appeal for the LBW, but not given by the umpire, who says I think it's going down the leg side.
That would have been close, just based on the shot there, but didn't produce the wicket.
We talked in the first innings about these ramp shots coming into the game more and more, and the varying degrees of success that we see every time these players play them, and that one probably wasn't quite as effective for Fee Morris. As Potts comes in again, Morris puts her hands through the ball, she hit it straight to Gwenna Davis at point, and that is out. Gwenna Davis taking another excellent catch. She's a very good fielder in that position, and Fee Morris is caught out for 21 of 16 balls off the bowling of Grace Potts.
She's launched that probably further in the air than the ball was hit towards her, but such was the excitement from Gwen and Davis. Sparks knew they needed that wicket. They've got it with still 102 required for victory. Storm were definitely in control of this game. They're perhaps ever so slightly less in control of it now. As we say, the other place we have our eye on is Southern Vipers versus Northern Diamonds, because if Diamonds win and Sparks lose, it's trouble for Sparks, because they won't be making finals day unless, of course, South East Stars get beaten tomorrow by the Sunrisers. Wyatt out in that other game for 35 of 16 balls, the first wicket falling here. It is that of Fee Morris.
Yeah, so it was quite fortuitous maybe from her point of view to still be at the crease after that being bowled by Izzy Wong off that no ball, but Sophie Luff, a very cool customer here, coming to the middle. So we did talk earlier that perhaps the longer form of the game is more suited to the way that she plays, more of an accumulator, but she can read the game as well, see what the situation is here, and she's a very experienced cricketer, captain of this Western Storm side, captain of Somerset, and been around and about the England setup for many years. Never quite perhaps got our opportunity, but still a force to be reckoned with.
And the run rate at 6.7 required, so Luff doesn't have to do too much here.
No. As Potts throws the ball up from one hand to the other, as is her want before a delivery. Luff taking her time, making her wait, looking at the changes in the field. As in comes Potts to the new batter, Sophie Luff. Just flicks it off her legs and runs through for a quick single to Hannah Baker there.
So Morris out, caught Davis bowled Potts for 21 off 17 balls with 3 fours, the first wicket to fall. It pegs Storm back slightly. They need 101 more to achieve victory, but they're still way ahead of where the Sparks were at this stage in their innings. The Sparks were 19 for 1, Western Storm 34 for 1, in large part thanks to that 21 from Fee Morris. And we said, unusual to see bowlers bowling over after over in the power play, particularly slow bowlers like Claire Nicholas did, but the two quick bowlers at the top now for Sparks are going to bowl their way through this power play, because Izzy Wong has her ball in her hand and she will be delivering it towards Sophie Luff. The St George's Cross above the cathedral still being ruffled by the wind as Wong comes in, and Wong will probably know that getting Sophie Luff now could be key to this game, and it's going to be a strange sort of battle almost for these next 6 balls, in the fact that Wong is going to try and find a way through, and actually the pressure might be more on the batter to just make sure she's there at the end of the over. The first shot was a good one from Luff. 34
yeah, she looked
for
solid
one.
there, didn't she, on the front foot, just having a bit of a sighter early on.
101 more required as Wong delivers, and it will remain 101 more required as that one's pushed out to Liz Russell, who's on as a substitute fielder at the moment in the offside. Doing the work at cover. Gwennon Davis at backward point, where she took that catch in the previous over.
Russell actually playing this game today, isn't she? She's in.
Of course she is,
she's
yes.
there instead of Perrin.
We just haven't seen her yet. She hasn't batted. Yes, that's a good point. And it's actually probably the first ball she's fielded in the innings. I've confused myself there. Certainly encouraging her Sparks teammates, as she always does, Liz Russell. And it's another defensive stroke from Sophie Luff. The score remains on 34 for 1, where it was at the start of the over. 101 more needed. And this is a very strange over in a T20 game, but it seems as if Sophie Luff has decided, I'm just not letting you have my wicket this over.
Batten down the hatches a little bit, isn't she? I mean, you would almost say that she's not really even looked to score these first 3 balls.
Perhaps it's just the speed with which Wong's been delivering. Maybe she'll mix it up this ball. Bowling from the Diglis end, and again, Luff just appears to be taking responsibility to see this off. Looked a bit more frustrated that time that she didn't play that offside and just twiddled the bat. Vipers up to 44 for 1 in the 6th over as the tension builds in these 2 games. Can Northern Diamonds pull off an unlikely victory against Southern Vipers to put pressure on the Sparks, who would then have to beat Western Storm here? Wong on her way, right arm over the wicket, short of a length. That was an opportunity to score there. It was the first ball where there was one, Sophie Luff, and she hasn't managed to get it behind square on the offside for runs.
And will this be a maiden over in the power play from Izzy Wong? Looking like it could well be so far.
She likes to do the unexpected, doesn't she? And usually involves clattering stumps, occasionally clattering batters' ribs, but a maiden over would be quite something here in this game as she bowls full. Oh, that's clipped away nicely. Well, she'd been waiting for an opportunity to score, perhaps had one with the short ball off the previous delivery, definitely got one on her toes there, and it won't be a maiden over. 4 runs taken from it, 38 for 1, but most importantly, from a Storm point of view, they've still got Sophie Luff at the crease. 34 for 1 was the Sparks score, so that's really come back together in that 6th over, in that maiden over.
Yeah, I think Sophie Luff was just having a look there, knowing that Izzy Wong will be probably bowling one more over and then saving her last over towards the end of the game. And it's probably Izzy Wong, one of the quickest girls on the circuit, first up there, and knowing that you want to be at the crease to get your team over the line. I think that probably was running through Luff's head then, as she just sort of watched those first few balls and then took the opportunity of that last one to flick it through for her 4.
But to get to the finish line all of a sudden, Storm are going to need somebody to match the contribution of Amy Jones in the first innings of this game.
Yes, Emily Arlett's changing the field now, bringing a player into the ring, put 3rd man, and the run rate required is creeping up towards that 7 and over, so more than a runner ball.
63 from 46 balls was Amy Jones's contribution.
As Arlett into Hennessy has come down, attacked that ball and sent it to a cover fielder just for 1 run.
Hennessy examines the end of her bat.
So you see the changes in the field, which you think maybe something that she's going to do slightly different with the ball here. So we're now out of the power play, so they can have more than 2 outside of the ring, and they've sent the mid-wicket fielder Hannah Baker to the boundary. They've got cover and a deep fine leg. It's Arlott to Luff, plays that late just into the hands of Gwennon Davis at point there for no run.
We're at very similar stages in both games because they've just bowled the first ball of the 7th over on the stream we're watching from the south coast. If you're maybe doing the same, if you've got the luxury of 2 devices, 55 for 1 is the score, but of course it's a target of 142 for the Vipers against the Diamonds.
Into Luff, a full toss there. Let's just pushed away, and it's gone through the third man fielder as Liz Russell, and it's gone for 4 runs there. That's played late again, saw that the third man was up in the ring rather than on the boundary, and just taken advantage of that. Liz Russell will be disappointed not to have got more on that maybe there, but it has raced away to the boundary for 4 runs.
43 for 1 the score. Western Storm will be ahead at the end of this over, but it feels as if it's going to be very tight the whole way all of a sudden.
Yeah, as Hannah Baker comes into the ring here at mid-wicket, and Liz Russell is actually sent back to that third man boundary as Arlott in again to Luff. Slightly shorter delivery. Luff's played that off her leg. She's so quick between the wickets is Sophie Luff. She'll be easily back for 2 runs here as Abby Freeborn picks that up, fires it back in to Amy Jones. One of the quickest on the circuit, I think, Luff, and there's, we saw Gwennon Davis in the first innings scampering between the wickets, but Luff really knows how to run these fast singles, makes them into 2s quite a lot where others maybe would not.
Arlott trying to be brave here with straight mid-wicket, extra cover, mid-off and mid-on the back of the circle.
As in again to Luff, shorter delivery, just pushed away to Gwennon Davis again at point for no run. Luff going at a runner ball, going nicely. Hennessy 11 off of 14 deliveries she's faced, and so that run rate still hovering around the 6.8, 6.9 and over required.
So Gwennon Davis's fielding means we've mentioned the 5 in the ring. The ones back are at deep cover, third, long leg and square leg.
To Luff, that's gone through. She nicked it. Yes, she has. She's out, and that's caught Amy Jones behind the stumps there, and that is a vital wicket there. Luff dismissed for those 11 off 11 balls. So that's bowled Arlott, caught Amy Jones.
Well. Off trudges Sophie Luff, who took the decision, it seemed, to play out the Izzy Wong over, but is out from the next over from Emily Arlott. It shows the strength the Sparks have. They are doing their all to try and make it to their first finals day. They need to win this game. Another 90 required for Western Storm to get to their target of 135.
Yeah, it's a fine edge, but an edge nonetheless, and that's sort of bread and butter for Amy Jones, you'd think, behind the wickets there, taking that as if she had again all the time in the world there, and it's a vital wicket to change the dimension of this game, you would think.
A second wicket has fallen on the south coast as well, 63 for 2 after 7 overs. Georgia Adams and Ella Maracan are at the crease now. So Bouchier is out for the Vipers. Can the Diamonds, with Catherine Brunt bowling as well for them, can they defend their target of 142? Or will it be the Sparks here who make that irrelevant by defending their target of 135? All to play for in the Charlotte Edwards Cup as Sarah Ginn alongside me, Sarah Glenn is into the attack, and Grace Potts with the fielding just behind square on the offside. 2 backward points in position. Davis and Potts, no run from the first ball. Glenn with all that international experience, the Derbyshire bred cricketer, concedes a single on that occasion.
Yeah, she's been so effective
Wilson
this
on.
competition so far, hasn't she, Sarah Glenn? She's not necessarily taken the top wickets taker in the competition, but she's been so economical. She's bowled whenever required. She's a maiden in the power play a couple of weeks ago, and she's just really bowls such tight lines that they're so difficult to get her away.
Amy Jones just adjusting the cover fielder, moving Russell slightly straighter. As there's a big appeal, that looks close. It looks close, not out straight away from the umpire though. Glenn, I think, trying to hide her disappointment slightly so that she might get a decision in her favour later on, but it was Wilson's first ball at the crease and it was very close. Hennessy on 12 at the non-strikers end. The score 46 for 2, and that's where it will remain, off a little inside edge from Wilson, who had popped out the crease to meet the ball on that occasion.
Yeah, sort of a polite appeal from Amy Jones, I think, was quickly rescinded when she realised that she'd got a little bit of bat on that there.
Yeah, can't always tell from the keeper's side, can you, whether the batter's hit it. And it can lead to little moments like that. Wilson and Hennessy decide not to go for a second here from that clipped shot into the leg side. 47 for 2. Storm approaching the 50 mark. They will came up in the 9th over for Sparks, so they're a little bit ahead again as Hennessy turns that leg side. But this tight over from Sarah Glenn, who I'm going to try and not call Sarah Ginn, because Sarah Ginn is alongside me, the Warwickshire under-18s coach, one of the few women at the moment studying a level 4 qualification. But 48 for 2 compares to 40 for 1 at the end of the 7th in the Sparks innings. So we're at a stage now where a few runs in favour of Storm but a wicket in favour of Sparks. Both will probably be claiming they're in the better position, or maybe both will be going, we're not in the better position, we're in the
it's a tricky call, I think, isn't it, at the moment, to say who's in a prime spot in this game. But I mean, we did talk about it a little bit earlier, but there will be some nerves out there. They'll be obviously desperate to get to this finals day, Sparks, and just hoping that they can hold their nerve here with ball in hand and maybe take these catches and these opportunities when they come to them. As Arlott into Hennessy. So Hennessy threw that ball there, takes a quick single to Sarah Glenn. Oh, it narrowly missed the stumps there, could have been a run out. I think she made her ground there though, Hennessy.
End of the 8th over on the south coast, 71 for 2, chasing a target of 142, so approaching, well, bang on the halfway mark of that chase.
As Wilson takes a guard here, her first delivery face from this end of Emily Arlott, who bringing mid on into the ring. Got a square leg out on the boundary, a cover boundary, and a third man and fine leg on the boundary. As in, Arlott comes a nice full delivery. It's played to Potts at that mid on position for no run.
The significance of that game on the south coast is if Diamonds don't win it, Sparks will be going to finals day, as they will be if they win here. But it is very, very tight at the moment in both games. Vipers, you think, should get to their total, but it's by no means a guarantee.
As Arlott to Wilson, slower ball played away by Wilson, rocked into the leg side. There's a chase here for Izzy Wong, who does make it round, but they scamper through for 2 runs there. It's a good chase there from Wong, had to make up a lot of ground. Of course, she's already bowled 3 overs in this game. Perhaps didn't contribute with the bat quite as much as she'd like, but she's doing her bit in the field now.
Yeah, perhaps wasn't quite her wicket. In the test match, England still 4 wickets down. They need another 178. They're 99 for 4, looking to beat New Zealand.
Arlott into Wilson. Fuller delivery. Wilson just kept that out nicely. Not really looking to score off. It was a good delivery there from Arlott. So that did bring the 50 up for Storm. So it's 51 for 2 off 8.4 overs here. Wilson and Hennessy at the crease, ticking along nicely, but Sparks looking for that vital next wicket here. It's Arlott into Wilson. Wilson's chopped that away through cover fielders coming round, not picked it up cleanly, so it's allowed them to get through for a second run there. That's 2 more to Wilson's total. Take the score on to 53 for 2.
It was threatening to creep towards Gwennon Davis at backward point for a second, but she just managed to keep control of the shot and send it out towards cover, as you said. So lots of tense cricket on Bank Holiday Monday, and there's a mis-stumping in the Southern Vipers game.
It's Arlott. Wilson's had that over the top. It's coming down towards our commentary box, and that's gone for 3 bounces and over the rope for 4. That was an excellent shot from Fran Wilson there. She picked that ball up really well over the top ahead of mid-on, and just a couple of bounces to 4. And that ends the 9th over, and Western Storm are 57 for 2.
73 for 2 is the Southern Vipers score, chasing 142 on the south coast. Either a Vipers win there or a Sparks win here sees Sparks into the final. We can't overstate that enough, because that is just how fine the margins are at the moment. One or other of those things happens, or indeed both of those things happen, and Sparks will be going to their first final since the regional setup was brought in and they were added to the franchises from the KSL, as Hennessy drives down the onside of the wicket. 58 for 2 is the score, which was the score, or one up beyond the score at the end of the 9th over for Sparks in their innings. But of course the international quality of Sarah Glenn bowling here is going to make it difficult for Wilson, who retired from international cricket over the winter, to continue adding in this over as Glenn bowls. That's nicely clipped away, came down to meet it on the full toss, did Wilson, and she'll get back for 2. Takes the score on to 59. So
it's the beauty of this regional setup now, that although Wilson has retired from what would have been perhaps a central contract through England, and perhaps historically her only opportunity to be a paid full-time cricketer, she can now still do that with Western Storm.
Driven up to mid-off and no run, so all of a sudden Sparks are ahead. The little wiggly worm will be crossing at the end of that 9th over, and by the end of the 10th it'll be Sparks who will be in front on it, because there's another dot ball there as it was driven out into the offside. Wilson waits again, bat raised, tries to come down, gets a shorter ball, and it's cut out to Izzy Wong, who will concede no more than a single despite being most of the way back to the fence. 60 for 2 then at the end of the 10th, and all of a sudden Sparks have an 8-run advantage on the count back, because that's where they were at the end of the over. Certainly our board's here reading 60 for 2. The one on the screen seems to be reading 61 for 2, so we'll just perhaps wait for that to correct itself. But we'll keep going off the scoreboard here, which seems to be 1 behind.
Let's hope it's not a vital one at some point in the game.
Well, yes, with the chase at 135 and another 75 needed on the board we're looking at, it could well come down to that. On the south coast it's 85 for 2 after 10. Remember the target there is 142 though, so 7 more needed.
Leg spin from both ends now as Hannah Baker has the ball in hand. Sent Sarah Glenn, her fellow leg spinner, out to the square leg boundaries. Baker drops that a little bit short of her first delivery there, and it's clipped into the leg side to Isabel Wong for 1 run.
Brilliant to have so many of you following this tense action in the Charlotte Edwards Cup. Nearly 2,000 on both streams. More than 2,000 here.
Baker's bringing a cover fielder into the ring, dropping Eve Jones out long off here. We've got Isabel Wong, and can't see who that is over there. Amy Campbell perhaps on the boundary. So it's a single down the ground to Eve Jones. That's Freeborn, isn't it, over there? Is that right? No, that's Glenn. Glenn there, sorry. Yep. Glenn Wong.
Yep, Glenn just grazing out there.
Hannah Baker bowls again to Fran Wilson, who rocks back, plays that through. It's gone through. Liz Russell for nearly through. Gwennon Davies who's coming in from the boundary as well, but just the single there.
Looks as if might have been a spot of bother there on the edge of the circle, Liz Russell, which is a
Russell?
worry because she's got overs to bowl here.
Yeah.
She's back to her feet, but just
Don't know whether
needed
something's...
a bit of assistance to get something that had stuck. Maybe
Maybe it's
was
her
actually
sunglasses here, yeah.
had sort of uncomfortably kind of poked her, so she's going to get rid of those. She's a tough cookie, Liz Russell, is the impression I get. It looks as if it's cricked her neck slightly, almost like when you sleep awkwardly and wake up in the morning with a horrible crick neck. Hopefully it won't affect her bowling from the Sparks point of view.
Going back into her position at third man here as Hannah Baker spins the ball from one hand to the other, and proceedings continue to Hennessy. So a muted appeal from the Sparks as they run through, and well backed up there by Emily Arlott for a one leg bye. Of course, Hannah Baker's family here, we saw them earlier today. Her granddad Raymond's watching from home, so hope he's enjoying her first over here today as Baker. Wilson rocks back, hits that down the ground as Potts comes round, picks it up nicely and throwing it back over the stumps. So scores ticking over here, but you sense this isn't quite enough for Storm to take them over the line.
Well, yeah, it's strange. They seem to have hit the big overs in the Sparks innings, and they're becoming small ones in the Storm innings.
It's Baker to Hennessy. It's a chase on again for Potts, who makes it a ground well just for a single there to end the over. It's a good start from Hannah Baker there as well. It's crept up this run rate now, hasn't it? It's gone to 7.6 and over. It's just going up with every over at the moment when the Sparks are keeping it nice and tight from both ends.
Incredibly tight. 70 for 2 was the Sparks score at the end of the 11th. Of course, they lost Eve Jones in that over. 67 for 2 is the score here currently. And it's the same on your screens again as it is on our scoreboard. 68 more to win, so we're at the halfway point of the chase from a Western Storm point of view. Vipers are well ahead of the halfway point and proving why they've won every game in the competition so far and are straight through to the final as Glenn bowls. It's cracked down the pitch, but Glenn wasn't in the mood for conceding a run there and got a hand to it to prevent any scoring.
Just moving the field slightly here. We've got kind of two very close fielders at
Here's
point.
Glenn again, and this one is hit over the top by Hennessy. There's a chase on, it won't be a successful one. 71 for 2. The tall Arlott just couldn't quite get down to that one at the Diglas end, and a crucial blow struck for the Storm, but it looks as if the Vipers are doing their job. They're 97 for 2. Georgia Adams is 31 not out on the south coast, and if Diamonds can't win that game and defend their 1-4-2, Sparks will go through. They'll also go through if they win here. They have another 64 runs to play with as Hennessy faces up again. Dot ball from the last delivery, looking to play this one away on the offside, and picks up a single on this occasion. 72 for 2.
Hennessy playing quite an unassuming role here. She's 22 of 26 balls. We have seen her hit some big balls in this competition, and you wonder whether she's just biding her time a little bit or whether she's struggling to get it away. I'm not quite sure.
Here's Glenn, bowls. Oh, that's a nice sweep by Wilson. One that she's famed for from her international days with England. She was an inventive player, but it's an even better stop at backward square leg by Hannah Baker out there. Brilliant stop there. Saving 3 runs at least. Well, definitely 3 runs, because there was no way that was going away anywhere other than the boundary, as this one is hit by Hennessy, not particularly well. Glenn's disappointed not to get there with a dive. She enjoys fielding off her own bowling, it seems, from the evidence of that over. And 74 for 2 is the score at the end of the 12th. Remaining tense here.
Yeah.
61 required for victory.
Yeah, just those 48 balls. I mean, you'd still think that it is a doable target for the Western Storm, very much so, but they do need to sort of push on in these next overs and not leave themselves too much to do late on.
Obviously, Amy Jones was still at the crease in this time in the Sparks inning, so that helped. But on an ordinary day, you'd say Storm are well in front, but this pitch hasn't felt like 135's felt a par score, maybe even 5 runs above a par score today.
As Baker into Hennessy's chipped that away again down to some mid-wicket areas. Potts and Wong sort of racing towards the ball together there as Hennessy ran through for 2 runs.
Their trains both arrived at the stop at the same time, and they had to be quite careful not to bosh into each other.
It's nicely placed by Hennessy, looking at the gap here, a little bit more on it. I think it could have gone over the boundary, but still got two for that shot there as Hannah Baker back in. She's playing a similar shot again. I think Potts is going to win the race for it this time, as it just goes for a single, not quite as well hit there. And she's playing the shot out again in her head there. A little bit of frustration from Hennessy, but it could only be a matter of time and she might start to get this ball away. As the field changes a little bit for Fran Wilson here, as Baker back in, slightly shorter. Wilson rocks back and sends this only as far as Isabel Wong at mid-wicket, just for a single.
So a tiptoey sort of over, isn't it? Just creeping towards the target rather than going there with any great gusto.
Baker to Hennessy, get more on that this time, and that is 4. That's gone straight. She's been trying that shot for a few balls and it's finally gone through mid-wicket for 4. That's a good shot by Hennessy, nice and strong down the ground, very positive. So she had a few goes at it and that one got through.
But it's going to need more of that, isn't it? It's going to need a few sort of watch out in the family stand type hits to get Western Storm to this total, but there's the first of them.
As the field moves again here, lots of discussion. Amy Jones getting involved in setting this field. It's Baker into Hennessy. Hennessy played that strongly down the ground, but Potts is round for 1 run.
Yeah, they've got time for that discussion because we're going to be well inside our cut-off time, I think, of 13 minutes past 5. So that shouldn't be an issue. Great to have more than 3,000 of you watching this tense game. Central Sparks trying to reach their first regional final.
As Baker to Wilson, rocks back, pops that into the leg side, and are they going to get 2? No, I just think they're settling for 1. As Freeborn does the clearing up over there. That was just sort of a little, you thought they could scamper through for 2, but perhaps it was going to be a little bit too risky.
Just sort of stopped Wilson in her tracks as she was coming there. The other thing that will aid Sparks' case getting to finals day is the fact that Vipers are looking more and more in control on the south coast. 108 for 2 they move to as they approach the end of the 13th over, so they have another 7 overs to get 34, so they're less than a run a ball now with wickets in hand. Nat Siver is on into the attack to try and use her international experience. Here, Sarah Glenn is using her international experience to try and turn the Sparks to victory. She bowls to Wilson, who hits it up and over the top. Oh, it's a great effort from Eve Jones, but the ball goes to the floor. She's now thrown it in looking for the run out. There's an appeal. The umpire has a long look at it, but they're back for 2 safely, and Western Storm reduce the runs required to below 50. 49 required, 86 for 2. The chase is 135. If Storm don't get there, Sparks go to finals day. If Vipers make 142 against Diamonds, they get to final. They also allow Sparks to get to finals day and have the prospect of meeting Vipers in that finals. This is swept nicely away, but there's going to be an excellent piece of fielding from Hannah Baker. Now there's confusion from Nat Wilson. Oh, and the throw's missed and there's going to be overthrows. Well, Wilson was way short of her ground, but she's picked up the run again, having gone halfway down, had to turn back. She was never getting back to her ground, and then she ends up at the non-strikers anyway. 2 runs the result, 89 for 2, and all that from a ball she swept down to.
Yeah, it was very
behind
well
square on the
fielded
leg
initially,
side.
wasn't it? And then a little bit of a mix-up, and Amy Jones so close to hitting the stumps there and getting the dismissal.
Here comes Glenn again. Hennessy down the track, can't get it away in the way she did in the previous over for a 4. A dot ball as it's hit back at Glenn, and Hennessy, every time she gets to sort of want a ball, she just seems to get pegged back again, and that's what Sarah Glenn has done. It's celebrated with enthusiasm, that dot ball from the Sparks fielders. They know what this means. They know they are on the brink of being there in Northampton next week for finals day. Bowled by Glenn, hit down the ground, nice shot, and that's going to go for 4. And Hennessy, she's back above one a ball again, up to 35. 93 for 2, the score at the end of Sarah Glenn's over, the 14th of the Western Storm innings. 42 more for victory, Sarah. Again, which way is this one going?
Yeah, well, you can't help but think the last couple of overs may have flipped it back into Western Storm's favour here, and they say there will be some nerves out there from the Sparks. They've not got obviously the luxury of what we have here, and having the 2 screens going and seeing the score from the other games around the ground. And regardless of that, they'll still want to win this game.
They won't
here.
be worrying one bit about
No.
what the Vipers are doing, but it looks as if they're doing them a huge favour, as Glenn will finish the over now. There was a ball remaining in it, and
The music played too soon
a
there, didn't it? It
single
confused
is
us.
taken. 94 for 2 then at the end of the 13th over.
We're assuming there that the music meant it was the end of the over, but I just think it came on maybe one ball too soon.
41 of 36, it was still more than one a ball, and it has been reasonably difficult to score at one a ball on this pitch. It's been stodgy, it's been hard for batters coming in, the overhead conditions not helping either, but Storm perhaps with 8 wickets in hand starting to back themselves, but Vipers needing less than one a ball on the south coast. 29 off 36 they require.
Liz Russell coming in here, and she says she's a very experienced campaigner and used to bowling under pressure at many points in games over the last few years, and so a Warwickshire player born and bred, and she's very proud to pull on this shirt, and she'll be doing everything she possibly can to put Sparks over the line at this point. She paces out her run up and talking to her captain here about where she wants her field.
They've left her late in the game though to bring her on, haven't they, Liz Russell?
Yeah, and you'd think that maybe if the spin had continued to take wickets or go their way, that she may not have actually made an appearance with the ball, but she's coming on now from the New Road end to Georgia Hennessy, who's 36 of 35 balls. Bit of a false start there as she moves her run-up marker.
Fantastic entertainment from the Charlotte Edwards Cup being brought to you on the Central Sparks YouTube stream.
As Russell into Hennessy, driven down the ground for a single. It's a decent start from Russell there. Just maybe a little bit watchful from Hennessy early doors, having a conversation with her fellow batter, letting her know what the ball's doing, perhaps giving her some advice on how to play it there.
The Worcestershire Rapids flag on the edge of the pavilion has almost been blown off the flagpole over there. It's still blustery out there. Still doesn't feel like batting conditions.
As Russell into Wilson, slightly shorter delivery. Wilson rocks back, hits that only as far as the cover fielder for no run.
And it's all about the Sparks at the moment here at New Road. There are lots of tense spectators watching on relatively quietly and respectfully at the moment, just because of the magnitude of the situation.
And Wilson bat flailing behind her. Oh, that's just beaten the third man fielder, and it's going away for 4 runs there, and that's a 4. It wasn't a leg by, it's 4 runs there to Wilson, and I'm not sure she meant that to go there, Mike, but it was runs nevertheless. I think it also perhaps fooled the fielder who wasn't quite ready for it to come to her. The way she was shaping up, you were thinking that was coming our way.
Yeah, it was an attempt to play it down the ground. It beat the fielder fine, and as you said, it was the one from third who had to do the chasing, but neither got to it.
Back in to Wilson, who steps forward, just chip that up into the gap we've got here as Gwennon Davis does the fielding for just one run. And it's it's at the 100 up there for Western Storm. Off 14.4 overs, they're 100 for 2.
We're getting to the stage where I'm going to need the grid for the last 30 balls.
Russell into Hennessy, moves her feet down the ground, plays that into Eve Jones just for one run. As Freeborn does the tidying up here in the middle and throws the ball back to Liz Russell, who's gone for 7 of her 5 balls so far. Should be hoping to get some reward with this last ball to put the game back into the Sparks' favour. She's back to her mark. In to Wilson, who plays that down the ground, and Potts has been busy down here just underneath as she throws that back in just for a single. So it's 8 off that over, and the required rate is now looking a little bit healthier for the Storm at just 6.6 and over required, and so it's 102 for 2 off 15 overs.
Well, at present it looks as if they are timing this to perfection. 33 needed of 30 balls. The Sparks may be starting to hope that it doesn't matter, because the Vipers need 25 off 33 in the other game happening in the Charlotte Edwards Cup at the moment. Stars play tomorrow. They will also be hoping that Diamonds don't beat Vipers for the first time in the competition, because that could prevent them making finals day as well. It looks as if it's going to be Sparks versus Stars to decide who really is the best team in this group, and then the winner will meet the Vipers. But here Storm are throwing a real spanner in the works, because 33 more are required to reach a target of 135. There are 30 balls remaining. There are 8 wickets left for the Storm, crucially. This is bang on for them as Wilson steps away, hits it in the air, in trouble. It's away from Jones, but she's taken a great catch. She couldn't cling on to one there earlier in the innings, but that was a real swirler in the wind, and that time the wind, rather than taking it towards her, was taking it away from her, and she had to watch it all the way, stretch those hands out, and the captain, fantastic, has done it with the catch to dismiss Wilson for 29. Fran Wilson out, trudging off the pitch. The catch by Eve Jones off the bowling of Emily Arlett.
Yeah, so it's an end change for Emily Arlett there, and it's maybe the wind's going in a different direction. That's the first catch that we've seen at mid-on or mid-off today that's been really cleanly taken. I think it looked like Eve Jones was struggling to judge it there, but she just timed it to perfection, I think we could say, and took a really good catch to dismiss the dangerous Fran Wilson there. And she's might change that game again now. I think we were saying that Storm are getting away from it, but now you can't help but think, is it going to go in a different direction? It does bring Danny Gibson to the crease, though. We know that she's a strong hitter. We saw her in the 100 last year hitting a few runs, didn't we? So it looked like Nat Wraith was warming up as well, but they've preferred to send in the hitter that is Gibson.
Could go one way or the other here with Gibson. The wind continuing to swirl, and it sort of took it away from Jones. It was started off one side of her and then sort of just looped over and away from her, and it looked as if it might just evade her, but the captain's long arms clung on, and Emily Arlett gets a crucial wicket. 102 for 3 as 33 more are required for victory, and it remains that now of 28 balls. Good fielding by Russell at backward point. Sparks just getting the squeeze on as
can hear the Russell say very integral to this team for her encouragement, her experience, and you can hear her cheering on her teammates here.
Well, she's the hype woman, isn't she, for her teammates, as Arlett is trying to benefit from that encouragement with a ball that is worked leg side by Gibson, but with no power, so there's only really one run ever going to be on offer. 103 for 3. 32 required by Storm for victory. It would open a crack for the Northern Diamonds to potentially get to finals day, but they're not taking advantage of it. They need to defend 18 more runs from 28 deliveries. Here, it's an equation of 27 balls remaining, 32 required for victory for the Storm, as it's hit uppishly past Sarah Glenn. She wasn't quite sure whether to attempt the catch or the stop, did neither in the end, and 2 runs are taken. And that's the first real positive in this Emily Arlott over from a Western Storm point of view. 2 to the total.
It's a difficult height there, wasn't it, coming at Sarah Glenn? She just sort of, I don't know whether she thought she could generally make the catch, and then it was a little bit too late and it unfortunately crept through her, but luckily there was a boundary fielder to mop up behind her.
30 runs required off 26 deliveries. Arlott to bowl, hit by Hennessy into the offside. Jones takes the bails, but Gibson was well home. 106 for 3.
Yeah,
29 more needed.
Decent bit of fielding from Izzy Wong there, but I think the throw was just a little bit wayward. Amy Jones having to stretch up high to pick it up there, and it could have been a little bit closer had that throw come directly over the stumps.
The bell of the cathedral tolls. 29 needed off 25. If Sparks can defend it, they will be going to finals day. Arlott bowls, hit down the ground, good shot, a strong shot, a straight shot. The fielder in the distance, Gwennon Davis, does the job, keeps it to a single. 28 needed, 24 balls remaining. Be there for you on the screen at the bottom as well, so you can keep track. Western Storm creeping towards victory, it feels, but
yeah, you can't.
That was a strong over from Arlott, particularly with the wicket.
Yeah, I mean, Hennessy is probably key to this inning. She's been at the crease for some time now. She's 41 off 39 balls. She's hit a couple of strong shots, hasn't she? But she's just generally kept the score ticking over. You think that maybe if she's here at the end, that Storm might just take this over the line. As Gibson takes her guard. I think Liz Russell being told off for doing something to the ball. I'm not sure whether obviously no longer allowed to put any liquid on the ball of any form, as Russell comes in to Gibson. Hits that strongly down the ground to captain Eve Jones at long off. He's throwing it back in over the wicket.
Another wicket in the game on the south coast. 124 for 4 as they approach the end of the 16th over. So 25 balls remaining, 18 runs to win in that one. It's getting tighter down there.
Russell into Hennessy's moving her feet down the ground. She's hit that nicely, but again it'll only go through to the fielder Eve Jones at long off. And Sparks won't mind these singles, will they?
They won't. But you'd say, I think, in both games at the moment, the batting side's looking favourites.
Yes, it's 26 to win here off 22 balls. It's 109 for 3 in the 17th over. Gibson on strike, couple of bat taps, a nice high back lift. She's moving in a crease and she's a very inventive shot. It's an excellent shot for them. She's moved her feet, so swept it round to fine leg. There's I would say it was a sweep, but it was a premeditated sweep as well, and she hit that strongly and there was no chance of the fielder stopping that. As the score moves on to 113 for 3.
Well, the singles all of a sudden will bother the Sparks, because when they're coupled with a boundary like that, it changes the equation. 22 to win from 21 balls.
And Captain Eve Jones having a discussion with her bowler Liz Russell here. I mean, what do you do in this situation? That wasn't really, as you think, a conventional shot that you could set a field to. So although the field is moving a little bit and we've got someone coming into fine leg, don't think that they would have stopped that last one even had they been there. So Russell into Gibson. She hit that strongly through to mid-wicket, just to the safe hands of Gwennon Davis, who picks that up, throws it back in. Didn't quite get hold of all of that, but you sense that she can, Danny Gibson, can't she? Hit a really big ball here if needed.
And she's got licence to do it. 7 wickets in hand. That's not going to be a concern for the Storm anymore. 21 left to win. 20 balls to go.
Into Hennessy. Comes down the track again, hits it through to Potts and Davis this time, doing the tidying up, and it's just another single that takes them to 8 off this over, and 20 to win off 19 balls.
And you feel they could just take that risk here and go for those twos there, but at the moment they don't feel they need it. Vipers need 17 off 24 on the south coast with 6 wickets left.
Russell into Gibson, who's chopped that away, and it's nicely stopped in the cover, but they scamper through for a single while Emily Arlott does the tidying up, and I think that might have hurt the field.
Well, I was waiting for it to hurt because Amy Campbell was trying to sort of front it out and pretend it hadn't, but it clattered her on the foot.
Yeah. She didn't quite time that, I think, well, but she got her body behind it, as we say to all these young players, make sure you get something behind the ball, and she stopped what would have been a certain boundary for a team, but maybe at the cost of a bruise in the morning there.
So England after 163 to win the test match against New Zealand. They have 4 wickets down, 114 for 4, but all the drama at the moment is in the Charlotte Edwards Cup here, where there are 2 games right in the balance, and with 18 balls to go, 19 runs are required to reach a total of 135 for the Western Storm. That potentially could prevent the Sparks getting to the final if Vipers don't get their 16 runs they require off 21 balls. Catherine Brunt is bowling on the south coast as we speak. Here at New Road, it's Emily Arlott. She's charging into bowl, trying to send Sparks to their first final. Oh, it's a very brilliantly inventive shot by Danny Gibson. We mentioned she's got the power. Well, she's got the inventiveness too. She's just helped it over the head of one of the best wicket keepers in world cricket, Amy Jones, who could only just watch it pass her. 120 for 3, and again, as the boundary did in the previous over, it really changes the equation. 17 balls remaining, 15 required for the Storm, and they are well in the driving seat, you feel. Yeah. Emily Arlott needing a wicket.
2 very inventive shots here from Danny Gibson that's probably changed the course of the game.
She waits once more. Receives the bowling from the Diglis end. It's a slower one. Just about reads it in time. Managed to slow the swing down and pick up a single. 121 for 3. 135 the target. That's 14 more. And there are 16 balls remaining in this game. Arlott will bowl the next 3 of them. Sparks look as if they might not be doing it themselves and relying on a favour. As Hennessy pushes this onside, looking for another single. She's on 44. She's just kept it ticking. She's done a very, very good job for her team in a low chase. Down on the south coast, Catherine Brunt is pleading for an LBW, but it's not been given. 128 for 4 in that game. 13 required off the last 18 balls, the last 3 overs down there. Here, it's 13 required off 15 balls. Will Storm get there, or will it be Sparks heading to finals day in the Charlotte Edwards Cup? A dot ball, a precious dot ball.
Yeah, slower ball, dot ball, but I think that Western Storm are just playing this nicely here. You could see that Hennessy, that last shot, just took the single easily, not necessarily looking for any risks at this point in the game. They're just thinking if they're at the crease at the end here, they might see their team home.
The ball was slid off the face from just back of a length delivery from Arlott. It didn't produce a run. 13 to win. 14 balls remain. Arlott on her way. She sent long off and long on back. Tumbling at extra cover is Sarah Glenn. Keeps it to a single. 12 required to win. 1 ball in the over left. So 13 more deliveries for the Sparks to bowl. Here comes the latest of them. Arlott to Hennessy. Hits it down the ground to the long on fielder Davis. Chooses to return it safely underarm in the end. That's the tension of the situation. 11 more required for victory. The score's 124 for 3. The target's 135. There are 12 balls remaining. So it's 1 away from being 1 a ball.
got 6 of them to be bowled by Izzy Wong, you would think, and I think Liz Russell will continue with the ball from the New Road end now, but Western Storm will be thinking this is the over. You know you've got an over from Izzy Wong that could be dangerous, could be anything, but they'll be probably thinking now if we can get ourselves up towards that total, then we'll be there or thereabouts before the last over.
9 from 15 required on the south coast, and that would also see Sparks to the final. Here comes Russell.
Russell into Hennessy, into the gap here where the fielders are on the leg side boundary, but just getting the single, so that takes them on to 10 runs to win off 11 balls.
As the equation ticks down, 1 ball removed, 1 off the total.
As Liz
10
Russell
from 11.
back to her mark to come in to the dangerous Danny Gibson. Russell to Gibson, slower ball, powered down the ground, but only as far as Eve Jones at long off for another single.
Took that catch that looked as if it had put it in favour of the Sparks, but could it be going the other way now?
Yeah, Hennessy 126 for 3 of 18 balls, and Hennessy got 46 of them off her 44 deliveries. This ball from Russell, she's hit again down the ground for another single. They only need these singles here to win, where they need 8 runs off 9 balls, and Hennessy just taking this casually, you think?
Seems calm. 127 for 3. 3 to win on the south coast. That would also send Sparks to finals day, even if they don't beat the Storm here.
Russell into Gibson. She's hit that long, she's hit that high as it cleared the boundary, and that is 6. That is a big hit there for 6, and that's cleared the head of Gwen and Davis, and I think it's even clear almost into the cafe bar where we were earlier, Mike, there for an impressive 6 runs.
It hit the signs outside the Gin and Prosecco bar, that one. It was a huge hit from Gibson, and it surely means now Storm are going to win this game. They need 2. They have 8 balls to get there, but down on the south coast with 6 wickets in hand, Southern Vipers need 3 off 12, and that would also see Sparks to the final stay, not in the fashion they would be hoping, but it would get them there. It'd also take the pressure, it has to be said, off Stars for their final game, and they'd steal top spot in the group. But
as Russell into Danny Gibson, 2 to win off 8 balls. She's played that in the air. Is it going to be safe? There's a long chase for Wong and Davis here, and they scamper through to get those 2 runs and take them over the line to win the game for Western Storm. So that was 2 runs to Danny Gibson there, and that was the runs required to take them 3-5 for 3 and winning the game. We're just checking the score now at down on the south coast, and the Vipers need 2 to win off 11 balls. So although this victory for Western Storm means that Sparks haven't got there during their own right, we think that actually they might be there anyway with the 2 runs.
We will see, but there will be fingernails being bitten right now. We will stay with you till the conclusion of that game, because it's very, very close as a ball's hit down the ground there on the south coast, and it goes away for 4, and Central Sparks have made it to finals day. They haven't won here against Western Storm. They haven't gone there the way they would have liked, but a successful Southern Vipers chase against the Northern Diamonds means Northern Diamonds lose, so do the Sparks, but they will go through as a best placed second place team, we imagine, provided South East Stars don't slip up against the Sunrisers, and that means Sparks will play Sunrisers on the first game of finals day. The winner will meet the Vipers, who've just won on the south coast and confirmed Sparks' spot on finals day. A successful chase here for the Western Storm. Let's not forget them. They will be delighted with their 3rd win of the competition. They had a difficult job to do here. They had to play on the nerves of the Sparks in many ways. They did so, and they chased down 135 for victory with 7 wickets to spare. They did it with Morris making 21 at the top before she was dismissed with a score on 33. Court Davis bowled pots. Hennessy finished not out on 47 and guided her team through. She lost Luff on the way, was caught by Amy Jones off the bowling of Arlott for 11, and also Fran Wilson was out with a score on 102. But it was that partnership with Hennessy that really set the foundation for Western Storm. Wilson out for 29 of 26 balls with 2 fours, caught very well in fact by Eve Jones off the bowling of Emily Arlott. But Gibson coming in, hitting 2 fours and a 6 in a 14 ball 24, seeing the Western Storm home, and Hennessy was not out at the end of 47 with 47 off 45. The pick of the performances in the first innings for Sparks was the 63 from Amy Jones, 2 for 17 crucial from Sophia Smale with the ball for Western Storm, but it was with the bat really that they won this game. Emily Arlott's figures of 2 for 29, the best from a Central Sparks point of view. Sparks go to finals day, but only thanks to a 6 wickets win from the Southern Vipers on the south coast. Here, Western Storm winning by 7 wickets at New Road, but the Sparks still go to finals day at Northampton next week. We'll look forward to seeing you there.